Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another David Rams live stream. Hope you're all doing good. We've got a fun one today. I mean, I hope they're always fun, to be honest. But today we've got a particularly spicy one. I guess you guys have been keeping up to date with the recent goings on with Joey and Piers Morgan. Joey Carbstrong versus Piers Morgan. They recently clashed on Piers Morgan Uncensored. So they were chatting about this chef over in Australia, this John Mountain, who's apparently some celebrity chef. I've never heard of him, but apparently he's famous for something, probably for cooking. Probably it. And he banned vegans from his restaurant after a vegan complained because he promised her that he'd have a vegan option. She got there and he didn't have a vegan option. So she complained. So he got upset and banned vegans. And then he went on record saying, F vegans. I don't want to do it. You guys can go somewhere else, and just being a bit of a douche, really. So I think he's on the show as well, by the way. He's in the video with Joey and Piers. Like he's a guest also, which I think is going to be hilarious. I haven't seen the whole thing. I've only seen clips of it, by the way. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but I know it's spicy because I've seen some clips. So yes, so that's what we've got to talk about. And it's going to be quite funny too, because this John guy seems like a proper numpty as well. So I'm pretty keen to see that. I've not seen how he is on the video yet, so that's going to be funny. He's probably right now, in my opinion, he's the #1 contender for Meat Flake of the Year. This John Mountain guy. I think he's #1 contender so far. I've not seen anyone come close yet. Let me know if you guys know anybody. Also, a couple of you, I've seen quite a lot of people have been asking me and also other vegans out there, other YouTubers, for a good response to this whole bees thing, right? This whole bees though argument that Piers keeps using as an excuse to kill animals. And I think I've got something I can help you with, guys. So if you're one of those people that wants to see like a fleshed out argument for that, or a response that you could use, well, stick around and I'll tell you what I think. All right, I've got that planned out. I've got an idea to give you and what I think about that. We'll get to it, all right? And we're not just going to stop there. There's one more thing we're going to do today. We're also going to take a look at the recent protest by Tash Peterson and Jack Higgs, Vegan Booty and her partner, Jack. They went to that chef's restaurant, the chef from the whole thing we're about to watch, and disrupted the restaurant. They went and did some hardcore activism there. So we'll have a look at that as well. It got pretty crazy, apparently. It got physical, too. Actually, there's a couple of clips, like scenes in there where I think he might grab her by the throat at one point. I've watched it quickly, but I wanted to watch it with you guys. So I've quickly looked at it, but I've not seen the whole thing yet. But yeah, it's pretty hardcore. So we're going to watch that as well. So pretty good show today, I think. Let me know if you're pumped in the chat. Give me some thumbs ups in the chat if you're ready to kick things off, guys. Who's here as well? Let's have a look. Who have we got in here? Turning Veganese. What's up, man? Samuel. Hello, mate. How's it going? Mark. What's up? Who else? We got Robin Hood. Vinamunen. Hey, mates. How is it going, everyone? This is Dominic's been in here dropping some puns earlier on. Oh, well, that was intense. Scroll back up in the chat. You could see some of these crazy puns that were coming out. Luis, what's up, man? Michael's here. How's it going, everybody? Great to have you all here for this. And yeah, I think today's going to be a good one. And remember, guys, if you want to guarantee that I see your comment, right? Because obviously I'm going to be looking at the video and saying my stuff and reacting and giving you my thoughts. If you want to guarantee that I see your comment, make sure to use the drop a tip with it, basically. Send the comment with a tip or send it with a super chat. You can do that by using the link in the pinned comment or by using super chat, and you'll guarantee that I see it, and also I'll respond to it as well, and everybody else will see that you're a legend because you're supporting the channel. So it's really just a win all around, guys. You support me, I will see your comment, and I will react or respond to it, or whatever it is that you want me to do. I'll do it, right? It's wins all around. Cool. All right, I see some thumbs up. So let's jump in then and have a little look at what the hell happened. Now, just to be totally honest with you guys, I've only seen part of this, so I'm reacting to this like pretty fresh right now. I know that he gets into the bees thing, which is why I was ready for that, but I've not seen what else happens. So let's start off and let's see what Piers does this time. Oh, Piers.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Veganism, the art of eschewing all pleasure in life, is one of the 21st century's most bizarre trends, from where I look at it. But there are green, plant-based shoots of recovery. The new fashion is for high-profile vegans, including explorer Bear Grylls, to revealing they're detransitioning back to healthy, meaty diets. And celebrity chefs like John Mountain, who runs Fire Restaurant in Perth, Australia.
He's such a douche, isn't he? He's off the bat. What is it? They practice of eschewing all pleasure in life. Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah. The thing is like, comparatively with Piers Morgan, I'd say like 90-something% of vegans have a better quality of life than this douchebag. I mean, you can't have a particularly good quality of life when you're, let's be frank here, he's overweight, he looks unhealthy. And I'm just saying that because it's true, right? It's just a fact, all right? I'm not making fun of him. I'm not mocking him. The guy just looks unhealthy. Most vegans look healthy, are healthy. So like the life quality between him and them is probably going to be pretty vast. So for him to come out and be like, yeah, eschewing all pleasure in life, like, I don't know, mate. I don't know about that. I mean, those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, right? That's the saying, isn't it?
Also leading the fight back, he's made global headlines this week after announcing, sadly, all vegans are banned from Fire for mental health reasons. We thank you for your understanding. Many didn't understand. He's been flooded with fake bookings and hostile reviews. But I'm joined now by the vegan ban himself, John Mountain, and here in the studio, animal rights activist Joey Carbstrong. Well, welcome to both of you. OK, John Mountain.
So let's just quickly recap there. So he's banned the vegans, right? He's banned the vegans from his restaurant, and I guess now they're going to find out why. That's the kind of the point. Robin Hood, cheers for the tip, mate. Appreciate it. It says you should check out the comment section on Piers' channel after. Even his fans blast him. Yeah, I absolutely will do, mate. Cheers for that advice. We'll get over there once we've checked out what's going on here.
Why did you ban vegans from your restaurant?
Morning, Piers. I banned them from my restaurant because, look, I've been a chef for nearly 30 years, but on this particular incident, it was just too much. They grouped together, which, I'm very proud of the vegans for all sticking together, but they grouped and banded together and then started hammering my business with 1-star reviews. I saw my rating drop from a sensible 4.2 down to 2.8. They nearly broke me. God bless the vegans, though.
They broke me. Oh, you're such a dramatic little victim, aren't you, mate? That's so pathetic. So, like, I'm sure he's skipping a step here because vegans wouldn't just do that for no reason. What did he do exactly? And my bet is the vegan who made the comment probably made that comment, that review that she was upset about him, like, disappointing her. And I bet him or one of his team has responded being like, shut up or something like that. And then the negative reviews have come in. That's what's happened, right? Because you don't just barrage a page because they forgot to put a vegan option on the menu. That doesn't make sense, right? Or because they forgot to prepare it. I don't believe that's what happened. He's missing out a huge chunk. I can probably prove it if I spend some time going to find out, but I would put money on the fact that that's how it went down.
And what was the incident that provoked all this?
The problem that happened was a girl had emailed me 3 weeks before requesting a vegan selection. And I said, well, look, rather than saying that, what is it that you like? Tell me what you like. And she said, well, I like gnocchi and risotto. I thought, okay, no problem. We change our menu every day, Piers, so it's not an issue. The problem was on the day that she did turn up, I couldn't do it. I let her down, and it was a justifiable complaint.
And she went nuts.
Justifiable complaint is what he said. It was a justifiable complaint. So she went nuts. No, he just said it was a justifiable complaint. This guy is like, Piers is always looking to try and, blow things up out of proportion.
But yeah, slightly nuts.
I mean, vegans, my thing about vegans is they tend to be, I don't know, they seem to me permanently hangry. Like the lack of meat in their diet makes them very intolerant of people and they get very agitated. And if you don't sign up to all things vegan in the way that they want you to, all hell breaks loose.
It's so funny how I can't get my head around, or I struggle to get my head around how old is Piers Morgan? Like, what is he, 55 or something like that? And he but when he speaks, it's like you're listening to a 13-year-old troll on something like TikTok or Xbox Live or something. Oh, maybe you're so angry because you need some meat because you're just always hungry. It's like, mate, like 80% of the food on your plate, on the average person's plate, is plant-based. Like 80%. You know, the meat or the animal products is usually a small part of a normal plate, right? They'll have something meat. Well, in England, at least, I'm speaking for in England, but also I think it's in the States too. They'll have like meat in one part, and then like potatoes or starches, and then some kind of salad or something like that. That's like what most people consider to be balanced and healthy. So, you know, him making that point, like, oh, it's because they're hungry. It's because they're hungry. It's like, no, mate, they're just replacing the protein source with something else that's equally as good. If they're doing it properly anyway, they're replacing it with something that's equally going to give them the same amount of protein. So no, they're not hungry, but I'm responding here with some like reasonable response, like logic. You shouldn't really do that with Piers. There's no point. He is a 13-year-old troll in a fat 50-odd-year-old man's body. And, you know, that's the thing you've got to realize, I suppose, when you go on his show.
I think that seems to be the issue, Piers. To be honest, I think they're just missing a really good burger or a glass of milk, you know, or both. You know, they need to sleep more, be a bit more healthy. Although, you know, the vegan diet allegedly is healthy, just not for everybody else. You know, I think each to their own, Piers.
See, what happened here is he's obviously looking up to Piers as Piers. Oh, Daddy, tell me what to say, Daddy. So he repeats what Piers says straight after Piers says it. And then he's like, oh, but actually, no, I mean, the plant-based diet is healthy. So yeah, just repeat what Daddy says, then realize that you don't believe what Daddy's saying. Yeah, good one, mate. Really showing yourself here to be a strong, independent, courageous man.
Okay, well, let's come to Joey. So Joey, Bear Grylls, who I know well, said he's embarrassed he used to promote veganism. He now eats a diet of red meat, blood, bone marrow, as well as salted butter, eggs, fruit and honey. He says he's never felt better. Talking about his transition to a vegan diet, he said, I was vegan quite a few years ago. In fact, I wrote a vegan cookbook. I now feel a bit embarrassed about it because I promoted it. I thought that was good for the environment. I thought it was good for my health.
So he never wrote a vegan cookbook. His cookbook has chicken and fish dishes in it. And he was never vegan either. He said he was eating mostly plant-based. So I hope Joey just points those two things out right off the bat because he's a liar and, frankly, a bit of an idiot.
Through time and experience and knowledge and study, I realised I was wrong on both.
He's embarrassed that he promoted a plant-based diet when he drinks urine and bile out of camel's stomach.
Urine's quite healthy, though.
It's healthy. Would you drink urine? Would you rather drink urine?
Absolutely, if I had to, yeah. If I was in the jungle.
Yeah, but he's embarrassed that he promoted a vegan diet and he's not embarrassed of his behaviour on TV, and he thinks that eating the bodies of animals...
Why are vegans so angry?
Well, he made a statement saying the vegans are hangry and angry, but he carried on and banned all vegans from his restaurant because of one simple complaint.
He's allowed to?
Yeah, he's allowed to ban a whole group of people from...
Well, he's a chef who's just sick of tailoring to vegan people who want to have all this stuff and get angry about meat.
All this stuff. She asked for gnocchi. Like, what was she asking for gnocchi? She literally asked her chef, hey, chef, can you make me some gnocchi? And he went, yeah, I can make you some gnocchi. They've not asked for anything else. She's wanting to go to his restaurant because he's a celebrity chef. She's probably going with some mates who aren't vegan, and she's asked to check, could I get a vegan option? What would you like? Gnocchi. Gone there, and he's gone, nah, sorry, I can't make gnocchi for you. Are you for real, mate? You can't put together pasta and vegetables? You know what I mean? So, no, she's not asked for a lot, and vegans... In this case, the vegan is really not asking for anything above and beyond from a professional chef, really. Come on, mate.
Listen, wait a second. He got a 2-star review when he was on Great British Menu, right? He'd ripped off his mic, smashed up the studio, and said that he wanted to kill the guy for giving him a 2-star review of a fish dish that he made. He didn't ban all fish eaters from his restaurant.
Hang on, you were
ban all fish eaters.
Joey.
So,
Joey,
listen,
we're going to get personal. You were a gang member, so don't take the high moral ground of smashing something up.
Mate, I'm completely honest about
True?
it. There's been documentaries made about it.
So don't take the high moral ground about him losing his temper.
He's not taking the moral high ground. It's the pointing out that this guy is a repeat offender and is not changed, clearly. This chef flipped his shit. and said he wanted to kill someone over a 2-star review, right? And now here he is again flipping his shit and saying that he's banning all vegans. Joey in the past flipped his shit for sure, yeah, and he served his time in prison, and now he doesn't do that anymore. Now he doesn't do those types of things anymore. This guy is doing those things. It's not fair to compare somebody who recovered and changed their life to somebody who's continuing to be behaving bad. That's like totally unreasonable, and it's not fair for. It's just not fair to do that, and it's cheap. It's what, you know, Piers has done this to Joey once before as well. He tries to just divert the attention away from the topic over to Joey's background because Joey has a very bad history. But again, he has come back from that. He's recovered from that. He's not that person anymore. So to keep dragging it up every time, especially when you're facing up with a chef who clearly has an existing temper problem, it's like, no. I'm in control of myself now. He's not. Why am I being brought into this as my temper? I'm not the one banning people and threatening people and stuff, you know?
You were literally in a gang.
I was 10 years ago. 10 years sober now. You're going to use that.
I'm just saying, if you're going to get personal with him.
But anyways, I don't walk around with dead baby pigs facing them like that. Like, does that look like someone who really gives a damn about animals?
Picture.
Like, you know, and that's his profile picture. Looking at a dead pig.
Correct.
Joey,
in Australia, one second, I just want to say
Joey,
this. In Australia, pigs are killed in gas chambers, okay? They cause pigs, they're horrible. Have you seen footage from inside a gas chamber?
Joey, here's the thing.
I recently exposed one in the UK.
Yeah.
They
Carbon
screamed to
dioxide.
death and begged for mercy.
Okay.
In Perth, there's a gas chamber called Lindley Valley Pork, right? And this guy serves pork at his restaurants. And why would you be more
Joey?
upset of a little complaint as a chef than pigs being murdered in gas chambers?
Let me ask you the question that I asked a vegan activist the other day, which is that.
Here we go. So Piers, what he's going to do now, I'm going to predict he's just going to switch over to the whole bees, almonds and stuff like that, because Joey's just put something in his face that he cannot speak to. The chef, all he could do here was smile and shake his head. It's like, that's not an argument. It's not an excuse. It's just pathetic. The thing is, honestly, just being real with you guys right now, both of these people are children in full-grown men's bodies. Both of them, their behavior, all has been so far, has been like acting like a pair of completely immature children. And that's not me taking some kind of like, oh, you know, we all get like that sometimes for sure. But the difference is like, this is not just three mates sat around a table at home having a chat where like maybe you'll be immature and childish and like you'll mess around. You know, Piers Morgan has got like millions of followers and people that listen to him, and he's like supposed to be some kind of news reporter. This guy is supposed to be some kind of like celebrity chef. Well, they both got a big impact on the world. They both have responsibility, but here they both are acting like just like I said, like children, and that's where it becomes a massive issue. It's not an issue to be like that occasionally. It is an issue to do that when you're supposed to be professional. The only professional one out of the three of them here is Joey. Joey's the only one taking this seriously.
That given that 80% or 90% of the world's almonds come from California,
There he goes.
where they are made involving the demolition of billions of bees who get murdered. How do you feel about that?
All right, so bees don't get murdered in this industry. They don't get murdered while pollinating plants. They're dying for a couple of different reasons. They're dying, but not murdered. And it's ironic because Piers would be the first person to bring that up with Joey. And Joey says pigs are murdered. Piers would say it's not murder. Murder's only for humans. But in this case, here he goes, bees are murdered. Because he's a massive child and a hypocrite. And this is just what he does. It's all about the entertainment. It's all about, he'll pick what he believes in to suit what he wants to, the kind of drama he wants to build. You know what I'm saying? This is what Piers does. This is his whole thing. This is his whole live uncensored. He's never honest on this show. Piers Morgan's only honest on other people's shows and on other things aside from the studio. When he's in the studio, he's a dishonest a-hole.
They don't get murdered. That's completely false, and I don't know why.
How many billions of bees die in the pollination?
I've got the 2022 data right here. They die mostly from parasites and pests. 66% die of varroa mites or other pests and parasites. Some die from disease.
In the making
of
almonds and avocados.
They don't.
Oh, they do. They do.
The data is here. It's this here.
Do you know where I read this?
This here is data from US Department of Agriculture.
Do you know where I read this? I read it in The Guardian, the vegan Bible. Even The Guardian admitted that you vegans who eat avocados and almonds,
6.7%. This is not.
You don't care about the little guys.
We boycott.
Billions of bees get murdered, and you don't care.
Where do those bees come from?
Huh?
Where do those bees come
from? In America, they come from all over the country.
The commercial honey industry.
That's true.
And
a lot of them do.
Boycott? What do vegans boycott?
Go on.
the commercial honey industry.
Why don't you boycott almonds and avocados?
Because I don't see a reason to. Most of the bees are dying from mites.
You don't see...
Do you see pollination?
You don't see a reason to. Okay. All right.
Listen.
So you don't care about the little
only
guys?
6% die from pesticides, so it's not really a rights violation. Not murdering the bees.
Joey,
it is
here's
dying.
my point.
The bees are just...
Big pig...
One
second.
A big pig makes you cry.
They
A little
get
bee...
killed in gas
you
chambers.
don't care.
No, listen.
You don't care about...
There's no reason to be upset about pollination.
Sometimes 50
they die from
billion...
mites. Why aren't you angry at the mites?
Hang on, Joey.
Barrel of mites.
Stop shouting over each other. Sometimes 50 billion bees die in 6
from
weeks.
mites.
To give you vegans...
I've literally just
your
told you they
almonds
die
and
from
avocados.
mites. Check out the...
That's not true.
These are agricultural stats
That is
from
not
America.
true. Read the
lying.
Read the Guardian.
I read it in an article, an anecdote, so it must be true. Listen.
Joey, how long have you been a vegan?
All right. All right, let's see if I've got some things I want to say about this bee topic, but I'm going to just wait and see if they're done with it yet. Once I've heard everything they're going to say, then I will give you my thoughts on this whole topic. All right, I just want to make sure I don't miss something or like repeat anything that they're going to say.
10 years.
Right, do you actually, because you seem quite agitated to me, like you want a bit
It's just about nonsense about bees being murdered when they die from mites.
They are murdered.
He's not agitated, he's passionate. There's the thing with Joey. Anyone who's spent any time with Joey will see that he's very energetic. He's very eccentric is probably the better word. And when he gets into something, obviously the most of the stuff that everybody sees is animal rights, but I can tell you from personal experience, when he's into anything, this is how he talks. It's not that it can be something that's in a good thing. Like he could be talking about something that's good. He gets very passionate. He could be talking about this, which is bad. He gets very passionate. This is just the way he speaks. But people are, Piers tries to, he's not misinterpreting him, Piers. He knows that Joey's a passionate person and he tries to turn that on Joey to make it into a negative thing. That's what Piers is doing to him. And Piers has always done this to him. It's actually what most people who come up against Joey do. They try and tell him, like, oh, you're too angry, you're too aggressive. They know damn well that he's not. They know damn well that he's just excited, eccentric, and passionate, right? But yeah, they'll try and spin that on him. That this is a very common tactic that a lot of anti and ex and non-vegans use when talking to a vegan. They'll try to take whatever you have that's positive and turn it into a negative. For example, you're telling them why they should or shouldn't do something, right? Oh, this is really important because animals die here and we should do something. They'll say you're forcing it on them. You're forcing your views on me. No, I'm not. I'm passionately explaining and trying to convince you. I'm being convincing. I'm trying to encourage you to be a better person for animals. But they'll turn something good into bad. No. That's forceful. That's one of the most common things we hear. And here we have Joey, getting animated and passionate. Oh no, you're being aggressive and agitated. And they're trying to flip the switch on somebody's mind. And maybe someone's watching this thinking, Joey's pretty passionate. And then they're trying to flip him and be, oh, actually, no, it's not passion, it's anger. They do this a lot. This is really common. Well, look out for it, guys. And don't let people do it to you.
They're murdered.
It's clown behaviour.
But do you think, in a way, you represent what I feel about vegans? That you're all quite hangry.
Are you against animal cruelty, Piers?
All right. Well, let him answer this first.
Yes.
Then why do you support animal cruelty when you support the meat
I don't.
industry?
I've defended the bees for years.
No, well, they're not murdered. They die from mites.
Billions of bees are murdered so that you vegans can eat almonds and avocados.
Do you boycott honey where they're hired from?
John, let me bring in John here. John, look, here's my point about the bees.
Didn't answer the question about not eating honey, did he? See, there it goes again. Piers doesn't answer questions. He doesn't boycott honey. So he is a hypocrite. And that won't come up, though, because he's too busy. The second he gets pushed and he knows he's caught, he'll flip. And because it's his show, he can do that.
There's a lot of hypocrisy, as there is with all these debates, right? Which is that if you want to eat almonds and avocados as a vegan, you feel virtuous, you think you're saving the planet as well. Actually, neither of those things are true. Billions of bees get killed to make almonds and avocados. People can go read the proper reports about this.
Yeah.
And also, they fly them then around the world, or they truck them around the world, and of course that is terrible for the planet.
They truck animal products around the world.
Do you believe, John, that there's a kind of basic hypocrisy here with?
Why was this chef shaking his head then? They don't truck animal products around the world? Is that what it was? Is he going to try and claim that? Hilarious.
The vegans.
Look, I think, Piers, what I've noticed is that there's a strange correlation that they have between eating meat and death and murder, which they like to keep promoting that murderous side. I think if they look up the definition of murder, this is human versus human.
You moron. Your boy Piers just literally said that bees are being murdered. So My God. And what we're gonna go to semantics though. For real, you want to pull up semantics on what? Okay, don't call it murder then. Call it killing. Call it anything then. Call it. You just be. You know what? Don't even give it a word. Don't even call it killing. Just explain what happens. How about that then? How about we stop using the word murder and we stop using the word killing and we stop saying it's the killing of animals, the slaughter of animals. What about if we just say what it is in the case of a pig, we get a pig, we electrocute them in the ass with a prod so that they'll go into where we want them to go into, either a gas chamber or we'll put them in some kind of conveyor belt where we can electrocute them on the face. Like we'll stick these electric prongs on their head and electrocute them to knock them out, or we'll put them in a gas chamber and then we'll gas them until they're knocked out. Then we'll take them out and we'll stab them in the throat. So would you prefer we say that other than murder, right? So should we just get into the actual detail? Because that is absolutely fine. I think what these people need to realize is using the word murder is definitely preferable to us saying that, right? For them, it's like, it's actually a bonus for them that we don't say that every time, because if we did, then people would be far more moved by what's happening.
And that is it, Look, I'm 100% against animal cruelty, and for him to bring up the Great British Menu, well,
yeah, 100% against animal cruelty, posing with a dead piglet in his photo as a joke. But this is the kind of person you wanna be around, right? It looks like a totally sane and safe human, right? Someone you want to live next door to, someone posing with dead piglets as a joke. That's the kind of guy you want to leave your kids with, right?
Well, it just shows his mentality, good lad, congratulations, well done. It's not what we're about. I think each should be to their own, and you should just enjoy your life. If they're going to argue, Piers,
why are you killing animals? Enjoy your life.
But Joey, why can't you?
Why are you killing animals? Look at this.
Joey, it's
posing
a pig.
with a murdered piglet.
It's a pig. Yeah.
Posing with a murdered piglet. And it
Joey.
wasn't just, you can't handle a simple complaint from and this woman, she's a very nice young woman. I spoke to this young woman. She's very nice, very kind, very polite. And you can't handle a simple
Joey, let me ask you a question.
Celebrity chef. Joey. And it's clear, even meat eaters complain about his restaurant. He doesn't ban all meat.
Joey, if you want to be a vegan, I don't care.
You're an idiot. Is that all you've got, mate? Oh my God, this guy is so pathetic. I didn't expect him to be like this much of this pathetic. You know what I mean? I don't know. I thought he would have something, but he comes across as, and I'm gonna use some. I'm gonna go down a road here. I'm gonna use some. I guess you could call like kind of red pill language here, because I can't think of another word to describe him other than he gives the most beta vibes I think I've ever seen. He's like looking up to Piers like, oh, daddy, tell me what to say. And Joey as well. Like when Joey's talking to him, he just seems like he's, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. He just seems like really beta, just like really soft and pathetic. And maybe that's why he does this kind of stuff, like posing with dead animals and stuff, because it gives him a sense of like, maybe that's the only time in his life he feels like a man, right? I mean, he couldn't hold together his relationship with his partner, his girlfriend. She broke up with him, or they broke up, or whatever, over all of this. And now, he tries to keep up with the big boys. Because, to be fair, for all the criticism we give Piers, he's confident in himself. He's got self-esteem, and he's a douchebag. But you can't deny those things about him. Like he definitely thinks big of himself. Joey's very confident. This guy seems like a lost little puppy with these two, doesn't he? It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, right. It's entirely down to you. If you want,
they're not being slaughtered.
Billions of bees. Everyone go and Google.
Billions of bees are getting killed by mites.
Here's what I say to everyone watching this, either on the show tonight or on YouTube later. Go and Google bees.
U.S. Department of Agriculture staff.
Almonds,
right here.
Avocados, and you'll see the truth. The truth. Even The Guardian, where they all are compelled to eat lentils every day when they wear their sandals to work.
This is a gas chamber, Piers.
All right, I'm going to pause here because he's told us to go Google this, right? And I can tell you I did exactly what Piers told me to do, all right? And I'm going to tell you what I found out. You ready, guys? So for those of you that were looking for some kind of, I don't know, something more info with the bees thing, right? Something to help you out. I've done a bit of research. I got a little bit of assistance from Chris Hines as well. Thank you, Chris, for helping me out on this. Put some info together for you guys. So here's what I found, all right? I'm going to go through it for you now. So as Joey said, it's true that the main culprit for the loss of these bees is mites, right? These varroa mites. That's true. That's like a fact. That's actually, wherever you look, that's a fact. So the fact that Piers didn't know that, or that he's trying to claim Joey's lying, is just wrong. That's just a fact, right? What these mites do, they attach to the bee, they make them vulnerable to sickness and death, and then they'll die from sickness and death because of these mites. These mites have been causing more and more issues over the years. Apparently, the problem's been getting worse and worse. And now a little infestation of these mites, like 1 or 2% infestation to the hive, can cause massive problems. So it's a big deal. So there's a big problem with it. Other issues that kill the bees: pesticides, they're toxic to them. Climate change, because it's too hot or too cold, and that kills them. And monocropping, meaning those industrial crop growing where they only use one type of crop. That reduces food for the bees, and with the harsh environment and the harsher weather, it makes it harder for them, and then they die, right? So this is what Piers is getting at. Now, this is all specifically in the USA. There's been some issues in Europe as well with bees, and also some in Australia, but USA is where this is really happening the worst, and it's going downhill. So, as Joey said as well, they are coming from the honey industry. That's where these bees come from, the industrial honey industry. So that's something we already boycott, so that's a good thing. But let's get into this a bit more, all right? Let's dig deep. So the question really is this a problem, right? Is these mass deaths of bees due to these mites and stuff, is it a problem? Well, yeah, it is. It is a problem. Joey, the way Joey came across was that it's not like our problem necessarily, but the reason those mites are killing the bees is because those bees are being moved from place to place, and that's why the mites are affecting them so much. It's because the bees are just set loose in a place, and they've not had the other insects like clash with them, and there's like lots of so what I'm looking for here. Oh my God, I've had a brain fart. Do you know when two things touch and they shouldn't touch? Like you call it, like in a restaurant, contamination. There's a lot of contamination between different insects and stuff like that. And this is how they transfer parasites and things. And it's because they're being moved and released in specific areas where they've not lived like always. They're just like thousands of them, just boom, they just appear. And it causes lots of problems, right? So it is an issue. It's definitely an issue. So yeah, of course we should try and help bees. We need to help them because they're bees. We don't just see loads of bees dying, but also because they're pollinators. Pollinators pollinate our crops so that we can grow and feed people, right? So it's an issue that needs to be worked out. But what's important here is that this is not a reason to not go vegan. This whole issue I just told you about, okay? Piers Morgan uses this issue about the bees, which is correct on, right? It is happening, as an excuse to not go vegan. He uses it as an excuse to keep killing animals, to breed and kill animals for food, for burgers and stuff. That's what he uses this as an excuse for, right? But that's like saying, hey, have you seen? There's a serial killer running around, murdering people, like thousands and thousands of people, like brutally. Have you seen? We should do something about that. And it's like someone coming over and saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. There are loads of people dying in factories from like bad working conditions. So shouldn't we focus on that first? I'm not going to help you with the serial killer until you fix these factories. It's like, we all know that makes no sense at all, right? Or if you wanted to get even spicier, it's like in World War II someone saying, hey, we need to stop these camps. We need to stop these gas chambers. And someone being like, I'm not going to help you do that until we stop these factories that the people are working in, because they're also dying there as well. You'd be like, what? I mean, yeah, that's also a problem. Don't get me wrong. The factories are a problem, but like this is gas chambers. Like there's gas chambers. Like they're exterminating people, or they're exterminating animals, and killing thousands of animals in these chambers, right? So it's like you don't to say like I won't do one until you fix the other. It's like saying that. It makes no sense. And they're both important, of course, and we all agree that the bees dying is important. We want to do something about that, just as the same as, in the examples, the factory workers are important, but there's a priority here, and the priority is the serial killer, surely, right, or the mass murderer. So, in my opinion, if somebody wants to have the bee conversation, then I'd expect that they'd already be vegan first, because that's a discussion or a debate you earn. Right, you need to earn your seat at the table by making changes to your life to show right? That you care about animals, to prove that you actually care. Because if you sit there like Piers Morgan and say, I care about animals, I care about bees, but you actively pay for the worst things to happen to animals, then why would we debate this with you? You've not earned this debate. You don't deserve it. You're actually just a troll, aren't you? And you're using this as an excuse to not go vegan, when it doesn't make sense as an excuse to not go vegan, right? So it's really important, guys, to realize that, how that works. Because if you're sat across from somebody who pays for animals to be chopped into pieces for burgers or wearing their skin, I mean, how can we ever expect it to actually talk with them about changing the world for animals when they won't even stop doing that stuff, right? Changing the world for bees when they won't even leave a cow alone, right? I don't buy it. And once you do go vegan, like once you've proven to me you actually give a damn, then maybe we'll discuss these different incidental harms and these other processes that, can come about from crop production, right? Because how does anyone think that we're ever going to improve the lives of animals, right, affected by crop, fruits, or vegetable production, grain production, when we're literally breeding animals with the sole intention of stabbing them in the throat? And you think you really think we're gonna be able to change it in that order? Like, we're gonna change the world for insects before we change the world for mammals? You really think that's how things are gonna go? It's not gonna go that way. If we can't get people to care about a mammal that is just like them in many ways, your fat chance of getting them to do something about insects and bees, right? So yeah, it won't change until that changes. Piers Morgan is not arguing honestly on this topic. He just thinks he's got a gotcha. He thinks he's got Joey. He thinks he's got vegans. He doesn't want to change. He doesn't care about animals. He's no intention of changing and helping animals. All he's doing is trying to save his skin. And he thinks he's got the number one, the silver bullet, right? That's all he's doing. And you can see that with all of his reactions. You can see that, actually. Let's get into this now. Watch his reaction to Joey playing this clip with the pigs. And you see how, Piers, he doesn't care.
This is how pigs are killed and slaughtered in the UK. This is my investigation.
If I ask you a question,
why don't you play me the sound of billions of bees being murdered?
See, if somebody who actually cared about animals at this point, they would have said, yes, that really bothers me, actually, and that's why I don't eat animals. Now let's talk about bees. But he doesn't care, which is why he diverts immediately to the bees again.
Well, I know that animals get killed so I can eat pigs.
They're screaming to death.
Right.
Look at them. Face them.
What do you think bees do?
Face them. They're screaming.
What do you think bees do when you murder them?
They get killed by mites. This is gas chamber. Look at it.
No.
You don't even want to look at it.
They get slaughtered.
You're a coward.
I'm not cowardly.
Look at it.
I know that animals get slaughtered so that I can eat animal meat.
I stuck this camera in this gas chamber in the UK at Pilgrim's Pride, and they scream for their lives. And every single animal welfare
here's my
charity
problem.
are against
Here's
it.
my problem.
And you eat bacon and you promote it.
I love bacon.
You promote it.
I love bacon.
You say you're against
I
animal
love
cruelty.
sausages. I love it all. I love eating meat.
You love animal cruelty.
Yeah, I'm prepared to admit I love eating meat.
You see? So this is what you're dealing with, right? It's not... This is what people need to realize about Piers. He's not arguing that... He said earlier on, like, I've been championing the rights of bees. No, he's not. Because he still eats honey, right? And he still eats all the crops that a vegan would eat. And on top of that, he's eating gas-chambered pigs and all other animals who've had their throats cut in a slaughterhouse. He doesn't care. He's not in a position where he can have this discussion with Joey. Joey, in terms of like, okay, where are they at with who's doing more harm or who's causing more problems for animals? It's like you've got Piers Morgan like somewhere off the scale. You've got Joey way down here. For him to bring up the bees thing, it's so ridiculous. Makes absolutely no sense, right? So when you consider that he's just trolling, you've really got to realize there's no point trying to bring any kind of logic up with him, I suppose. And I think what we've already gone through, I think, is pretty sufficient for anyone at the Piers level, right? But for anyone wanting more of like an in-depth dive into this stuff, I could consider bringing on some kind of expert if you'd like that, like an expert on like veganic farming and pollination and this kind of stuff. If that's something you're interested in, give a thumbs up, and maybe we can sort out a podcast. But next up, before we move on, I'll give you guys some pointers to bring up in a street conversation, right? So, this has just gone, huge now, hasn't it? Like this conversation, the bees are back in the frame again. So what do we say with people on the street when they bring this up? Because they might be doing it, right? People are inspired by Piers Morgan, I guess. Some people are inspired by him. There's going to be lots of reels and short form content about this. It's going to be going all over the internet. So what do you do then, right? What do you say? So someone says, okay, then yeah, veganism, but what about the bees though? Doesn't veganism kill bees? Or don't we kill bees when we eat plants? What about that? You could ask them, where did you hear that? That's always a good question, I find. Whenever somebody makes a claim, I tend to ask them, oh, that's interesting. Where did you hear it? To try and identify if I've heard it from the same place and then I'm on the same level, I know where they're coming from, right? So they'll probably say Piers Morgan. And at that point, I would probably make a joke about Piers Morgan and, just point out that he's not exactly somebody to be trusted as like a joke. But yeah, I dig into what did you hear about exactly? What did he say about the bees, right? Because the chances are they've never read up on it. They've just listened to Piers Morgan. So they'll say something like, yeah, I heard they were all dying. It's a problem. Like it kills bees, like certain plants kill bees or whatever. You could briefly explain, yeah. So what bees do, they pollinate crops, right? So that crops grow and people use them for pollination. A lot of them are dying because of mites and other reasons, but mainly mites from them being moved around. So it's an issue for sure. What do you think you could do about that? I think that's a great question for somebody. They'll probably say, I don't really know. It's like, yeah, it's not so simple, is it? Right? You want to go out and fight for better conditions. You want to go out and fight for different methods to be used. You can lobby, you can campaign. It's not so easy. It's a bit complicated, right? Okay, well, what could you do about pigs in gas chambers? I could stop paying for it. Right. So one of these things you can do right now, right? And you can immediately have an impact for animals. The other thing, it's more of a long process to change, right? It's not something you can just click and change. Whereas you can change now. You can remove all animal products from your diet and your lifestyle. You can stop paying for gas-chambered pigs. You can stop paying for electrocuted throat-slit chickens, right? And that's something you can do today. So let's focus on what you can do right now, and let's look at the other stuff, right? Later on, maybe, right? Because there's stuff that you can do right now that's going to make a massive difference right now. So I think that's really important, and I would say, we could look at to solve the issues of crop pollination and insects once we've solved the issues with the mass breeding and killing of animals and meat, dairy, and eggs, I would say. So that's how I would respond right now to somebody who's bringing this topic up. If somebody is like some kind of science major or something like that, and they want to start talking about the intricacies and the things, that's going to go over my head anyway, because I'm not a scientist, and I guess lots of you guys aren't scientists either. If that happens, you just have to put your hands up and be like, this is not, you know what I mean? I'm not a walking research journal. I haven't got this stuff to hand. I'd have to go away and prepare for this conversation. Maybe you can pick someone else out who is more knowledgeable on that kind of stuff, But most people are going to be at this level of, I heard Piers Morgan say it. And that's what I think is a good response to that. But moving on from that, what about if we actually are in that world, right? What about when we are in that world? So pretty much everyone's vegan, right? Or I don't know, a lot of people are vegan. And then we all decide, okay, then, how can we start tackling this issue to make things better for bees, right? And also other insects too, because they're included in this. Bees are not the only pollinators. There are a lot of other pollinating insects, but we can do things to make life better for all of them so that they keep pollinating and that we keep being able to get crops. And that's not all crops, by the way. Not all crops need pollination. Actually, there's like quite a lot of crops that don't need pollination at all. But okay, we'll talk about these specific ones that do. So, okay, what are the potential solutions then? All right, I hope you guys got a pen and paper ready, because, I'm going through some stuff here, I don't want you guys to forget any of this stuff. It took me a while to put together, okay? Are you ready? Got your pen and paper? You got your notes ready? All right, what would we do? So basically, one of the solutions to this is veganic farming, right? Which I've been learning a bit about recently. So what they do, instead of monocultures, where they just grow one type of plant, and that's not good because there's no variety, there's not enough food for the bees, and it also isn't good for the soil, isn't good for the environment, right? This is not good. Monocultures, bad, right? Fine. They can use polycultures, which basically means there's a variety of different plants. in the same area that coexist and work together. They work well together, right? That's veganic farming. They do different types of plants. And they don't use pesticides as well, right? So that's what they do there. How this helps bees is, well, the bees will come there and have enough food, right? So that helps them to survive. And also there's less risk of toxicity from pesticides as well in veganic farming. And that sounds like a pipe dream, probably. There's loads more to veganic farming. I'm just giving you top level stuff here, right? You could go look it up. But there's more to veganic farming. There's more information about it and stuff. And it sounds like a pipe dream, I guess. It sounds like, oh, we could never do that. But there's quite a lot of farms rolling out around the world that are doing it. So in the USA and the UK, there's some pretty huge ones that are farming plants in this way. And when you consider that we know animal farming and all the stuff that it requires uses around like over 80% of the world's land, then we know that we have a lot of land that we could use for this. So it is feasible, right? It's not a pipe dream. It can be done. And there's the other way as well. That's not veganic farming. There's other farms that are starting to create what's called like a high quality pollinator habitat. So they plant hedgerows, cover crops, and wildflowers to provide food and shelter for pollinators, for pollinating insects, the insects that come and pollinate the plants, right? So that's something else that's happening as well. This is another improvement that's already being done. There's also something that sounds like something out of Black Mirror. That's artificial pollination. So they do stuff like robotic bees, right, to pollinate plants, and laser-guided pollen delivery. This is something I learned about today, which is pretty crazy. Thanks to Chris for sending me that over. So you should Google this stuff, guys, if you haven't seen it before. It's pretty crazy. So that's happening. So yeah, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to bring all that stuff up that I've just mentioned, you totally can. That's up to you. But most people are not going to be on the level where they need that level of information. They just heard it from Piers, and you could say, yeah, it's definitely an issue. But I mean, I think we can agree that pigs and gas chambers is coming first as a priority. Let's try and move away from a system where we literally just use and abuse animals and kill them and stab them in the throat. And let's work back to, okay, let's do the... Oh, you can do both at the same time as an individual, but I'm talking about like as a society. As I said, we're not going to get people to do shit about insects before they do anything about the mammals, right? I think that's an obvious thing. So up to you guys if you want to go down there, but I feel like most people use this point, like Piers does, as a red herring, as a distraction. So it's important to not waste too much time getting into the details of this topic, because you're probably just wasting your time, because all they're looking for is an excuse to not listen to what you have to say. That's it. So I recommend moving it back to animal agriculture each time. And if you do find out someone's genuinely interested, so imagine they say, no, like, I believe everything you said and I agree with you. I'm going to go vegan today, but I'm just concerned about this bees topic. Then maybe you could dig into, send them to research veganic farming, and maybe they can look into doing some, like, if they want to focus on that, they can go and help, like, do some campaigns, some lobbying, get involved in their local community and politics and stuff. Great. Go for that. That if that's what they're interested in, and that's something they're passionate about, they can go for it. Like, that's what Piers should be doing. If he really is a champion for bees, as he keeps saying he is, he should be vegan, and that's what he should be focused on right now. He should be that guy campaigning and lobbying and all that, for veganic farming or for the other solutions that I brought up there. So what do you think, guys? Is that helpful for you? Was that interesting and helpful for you for this kind of info? Is it what you were after? If you were somebody who was after some more pointers on how to kind of handle that, I hope it was. Right, I don't know what's left in the video. There's a couple minutes left. Let's see what happens, and we'll let's crack on.
You're not prepared to denounce avocado and almond
because you're making up stats. They don't get
because
slaughtered.
they actually lead to the
Pollination
extermination of millions of bees. Final word to John. John, is there anything that will persuade your mind to let vegans in? Because obviously he'd be a... I
can't believe he just... What, I can't believe he just flipped that out there like that.
They don't get
because
slaughtered.
they actually lead to the
Pollination
extermination of millions of bees. Final word.
Joey's made a really good point there. Pollination doesn't they don't want to kill these bees. They want to keep them alive. That's really important. They're not murdering and slaughtering bees. They're doing everything in their power to stop this from happening, these people. They're literally losing money. The bees need to be kept alive so that it can pollinate, so that these people can make more money. Whereas the absolute focus and goal of animal agriculture with like pigs, chickens, cows, is to use them for as much as they possibly can for their eggs or their milk, and then kill them for their meat. That's literally the whole goal of it. So Joey's absolutely right to point that out. And it's a real shame that Piers just spoke over him this whole time and didn't let him get any kind of real major points out. I mean, Joey did really well in the circumstances, but yeah, Piers never behaves on his own show. He only behaves on other shows. It's just because this is the MO of this show. This is the whole point of his show. It's you can never expect anything less, basically. And do you know what I mean? The thing is with Piers, you know what, is that sometimes I've seen Piers perform like this where it's been deserved. I've seen some absolute spanners go on his show, and he decimates them, and you're like, fair enough, that's good. But occasionally, he feels like the person he's talking to is a spanner, and he treats them like these people who genuinely were spanners, and he gets the wrong, I don't know, maybe he just gets worked up and he thinks that they're the same. It's kind of like when people get upset with some, I don't know, super hardcore, just eternally triggered moron, like somebody on some kind of hyper woke ideologue. And they say, oh, that person deserves to get decimated. The stuff they believe in is mad. And, they'll say things like, I don't know, like what was the stuff going on in the States? Like some specific jars of food were racist because they used an image of a black person and called them uncle, stuff like that. Like, it's ridiculous, it's stupid. They deserve to be decimated for believing that nonsense and trying to make victims of themselves on everything, right? But then they throw Joey in and vegans into that crowd so that no matter who comes on to Piers' channel, if they're vegan, he just immediately assumes that they're in that crowd of just constantly triggered morons, and he treats them like that. And it's a shame because, like I said, when he actually is dealing with someone like that, it's pretty cathartic to see him break them down and like embarrass them because they deserve it. They need to be, it needs to be shown how ridiculous what they believe in is. But then he tries to do that to Joey. Joey's not ridiculous. He's not frantic. He's not manic. He's not calling Piers names. He's provided facts. He came with he came with data. He came with evidence. And then still, Piers treats him like he's like a screaming idiot, and he's not. He's come prepared. Let him speak. But if he can't do that, because if he lets him speak, everybody realizes Joey isn't one of those idiots, and then Piers loses all of his sway, doesn't he?
To John, is there anything that would persuade your mind to let vegans in? Because obviously he'd be a fantastic guest in your restaurant.
It's just discrimination, isn't it?
Thank you, Piers. I do
Discriminating
apologise.
against the whole
I
group
didn't
of
hear you
people.
then.
It's just absolute childish behaviour, discriminating against the whole group of people because of one little silly complaint. Go ahead.
Joey, when was the last time you laughed?
Last time I laughed, when I heard you say that all bees are slaughtered because of avocados, it's an absolute abject lie.
It's an absolute fact.
Facts don't care about your feelings, Piers.
Undeniable.
Can I get a word
Facts don't care about your
Yeah, John,
feelings.
final word
It's
to
not
you.
a fact at all. Like, it's an undeniable fact that bees are slaughtered for almonds and avocados. Slaughtered, he says, murdered and slaughtered. How? Let's assume, let's imagine that Piers would be right on this, that they're being murdered and slaughtered. Can someone try to explain the logic behind a beekeeper and a avocado grower coming together and saying, let's slaughter those bees because, they're pollinators so that we make more money, but let's slaughter them. Right? What, are they just masochists? Are they just hate bees? They're beekeeping and they also hate them? And what is this, like some kind of Hunger Games, or what's that other thing that bloody whatever Korean show or something? I don't know. So they just go out and they kill them for sport. Is that it? The marksmen. They just go out with sniper rifles and they're just trying to take out the bees for fun. What possible reason would they have to murder them? It makes no sense. But here he is saying it's an undeniable fact. My God.
Final word is, how many vegans does it take to change a light bulb?
Go on.
None. They all prefer to stay in the dark.
Well, wait for the punchline. What's the punchline? None what?
Go have a cry, mate,
They
about
all
a
prefer
complaint.
to stay in the
So
dark.
funny.
Go have a cry.
Actually, the other one I like is, how do you know when someone's vegan? Don't
I'll show
worry.
you gas chamber footage.
Don't worry.
From the UK.
They'll soon tell you and play pictures and stuff of people screaming.
Kids being
Oh my
murdered.
God, they're like using, like I'm serious. I can't get my head around that. They're both making jokes that I see all the time from 12, 13-year-old, I assume 13-year-old, like people who come from TikTok to YouTube on the short form content. This is the stuff they say, and it's like they copy and paste each other's comments. So like, it's like a hive mind, not to be too ponderful. It's like it's like a hive mind. I actually really worry about the youth of today because they literally don't seem to have any independent thoughts. They just copy and paste each other and try to get likes on their comments so that they can try to like ratio or whatever that, whatever that, just to get likes and attention basically. And here these two are repeating that stuff. I mean, I don't mind a vegan joke, honestly. I think it's like fine, like make vegan jokes, but it seems like you've got to be creative. I don't know. I want to hear something new. Like if I'd heard something new here, I'm happy to laugh at it. I mean, some vegan jokes are funny especially if they're like witty. But wow, I'm so surprised that they went for those jokes. It's next. I don't know, man. I'm just these days, the more time I spend online, the more I'm like, oh wow, do we need to hit the reset button? I mean, I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that means. But do we need some reset culture? Specifically Western culture. I mean, some of the stuff you see people talking about online and the things that they're saying, you're like, oh my God, really? Is this where we are right now?
What they won't play you is bees being murdered. Joey, great to see you. John, thank you for joining me from Perth. I
Go
appreciate
vegan,
it.
Piers.
You got the last word. Oh my God. Well, there we go. Whew. I don't even know. This guy is wow, it's just so incredibly emasculating. He's just such a I never saw any of his interviews or anything, but wow, what a wet lettuce this guy is. It's ironic because he probably makes fun of vegans for only eating lettuce, but at least we're not little wet lettuces, are we? This guy is a warm, no, not warm. He's a cold, wet blanket. This guy, you got a cold, wet blanket, and you put it on your, and it's like it's not very nice. Like it's like it's cold as well. It's not hot. It's cold temperature. You're cold outside, cold climate, and you have a cold, wet blanket on. And you're like, oh, you just feel a bit like, no, not good. That's this guy. Oh man, that was funnier than I expected it would be, honestly. Dillian, thanks for the tip, mate. Appreciate it. How many carnists does it take to change a light bulb? None, because their ancestors didn't have light bulbs. Lions still don't, and they like to stay in the dark anyway. Good one. Yeah, they want to live naturally, don't they? Right? It's we've got to do what our ancestors did. That's why they're all dying so early. They want to try and make sure they tap out at like 35, just like our ancestors. That's what they're all about, these guys. God damn. Let's get over to Piers Morgan's page, because I've heard there's some interesting comments under this video. 345,000 views this has got here, and 5,000 likes, 1,400 dislikes. Let's have a look then. What are we seeing? What are the comments? Oi. I'm not a vegan, and I agree with Piers on quite a few things. That being said, this was very poor debating, with his only ammunition being one article from The Guardian about bees. The chef accepted her booking, then did not provide her with food. She was not some irate woman who turned up to a meat restaurant demanding to be fed. I would be pissed off too if I were her. She is not nuts for being irritated or leaving a bad review, and frankly, Joey has a point about killing animals in cruel ways where they suffer, and I do find posing with a dead piglet as a joke pretty distasteful. In many ancient cultures, even when you killed an animal, you respected it and tried to ensure as little pain as possible. Damn. That's a good comment. And he's right, like all Piers had was some Guardian article. He didn't even realize the main reason that bees die He didn't look into it any further than one article, clearly. I already mentioned this bit, that the woman had every right to be a bit annoyed. And yeah, this last bit here about, well, obviously, about killing animals in cruel ways where they suffer. Well, yeah, I mean, I get the guy's got good intentions because obviously he's not a vegan and he's trying to look for humane killing. But I mean, look, it's violence, right? If you sneak up behind someone and shoot them in the back of their head, they probably wouldn't suffer, but it's an act of immense violence. It's the most violent act you could ever partake in. Why would you want to live in a society where people are like that? Like, you wouldn't want to live next door to somebody who does that to others, right? You'd say, oh my God, no, I don't want to, they're probably mental, right? You wouldn't like that. So then why pay someone to go and do that in a slaughterhouse? And then bear in mind that the people in these slaughterhouses are suffering so badly from the stuff they're doing because it's so violent. And the slaughterhouses, this is as humane as it gets, right? But the people who do it still suffer mentally, like really badly. So this idea of like, okay, in cruel ways where they suffer, I mean, yeah, there are more and less cruel ways to do it, but ultimately it's violence for violence sake because you don't need to do it. You can just eat plant-based instead, man. And this whole posing with a dead piglet as a joke, yeah, it's definitely distasteful. And it's like serial killer vibes. It's something you'd expect. Like, it's like a Dharma type thing. It's like, we've seen 99% of people who actually see something like that, even if they eat meat, they're put off by it because it's danger. There's something inside us that tells us that people who do that are dangerous people. And it's a good thing that it's a good instinct we have because they probably are dangerous people. It's not the action of a sane, reasonable, kind person, is it? To be doing comedic poses with a slaughtered animal, right? So, yeah, good comment. Joey, when was the last time you laughed when you said the whole bees are being murdered? Good one. I'm not vegan, but would never ever moan at them for caring about animals. That's a good comment. Just that sounds like a pre-vegan. There's someone who's going to go vegan, innit? This discrimination is accepted, but apply that theory to other cultures and it wouldn't be allowed. Shocking. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to go too far down that because I'm not interested in making a victim of ourselves. I don't really give a shit if someone says vegans can't come to their restaurant. Really, it's like, whatever, right? But if I know some vegans are like, okay, let's go and leave review bombs and stuff like that. Yeah, sure. Why not? But it's this guy, it's taking it to another level, hasn't he? He's chatting shit about vegans. He's posing with dead animals and stuff to mock the animal and mock vegans. So it's another level. But yeah, the discrimination element of it is like, I mean, why would you even want to go to his restaurant? If he doesn't want you there, why would you want to go there anywhere? But you know what I mean? No one. Piers, absolutely, I'll drink urine. Yeah, I actually forgot about that whole thing. He straight up said he would drink piss. This is again, it's a sign that on his show, he will not be reasonable. Piers Morgan will not be reasonable on his own show. It will it's simple as that. He'll even say he'll drink urine if it means that he can make the point he wants to make. And he wouldn't drink piss. But the fact that he said he would, that should be enough to show everybody that this is not a serious person. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. It's true. This was a very good example of how a journalist should not behave. Appalling to witness such degree of professional corruption. You see, people are starting to spot it because he is not a real journalist. He hasn't been for a long time. And he shows it when he acts like this because Joey had a good conversation to be had with Piers about these stats and stuff, but Piers wouldn't have any of it because he's not a real journalist. If I held my breath until Piers let his guest speak, I'd be dead. Yep. I'm a meat eater and have sausages a couple times a week. I'm not naive to what animals go through, but choose not to think about it. I appreciate the honesty, but it's pretty cowardly, dude. However, when this vegan mentioned the pigs, I actually looked up one of the many videos. The pigs are led on a conveyor belt, and many are already sense the danger of the gas chamber that takes in two to three pigs at a time. As they try to maneuver away from it, they are prodded in the ass with a cattle prod to force them inside. We mentioned that earlier as well. There was a camera inside the chamber too, and the screams are horrific. It's not a quick death. All pork products are now off my menu, but it's also made me think about other meats too. I'm just so used to eating meat. I don't know how I would make a transition to a purely vegetarian diet, but animals are used to make all sorts of products, not just food. It's made me think at least. Damn. See, that's some of the positive impact of Piers being that level of douche. This is what reasonable people watch him and they're like, wow, I don't want to be like that guy. Maybe I should listen to Joey. And they go over there and look at what Joey's been doing and filming, and they learn stuff. This is definitely a future vegan right here. Veganism isn't about never killing or causing harm. It's about taking every action a person is able to stop exploitation and cruelty to animals. Well, yeah, if veganism were about never killing or causing harm, then we'd be in a bit of a bad situation. The only solution to that would be to finish ourselves. I don't know. That's not a really good way of putting what I wanted to say. I didn't want to say it in like the usual way because I don't know, YouTube, flagging, blah, 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 blah. What's the word that delete ourselves? That's probably better. Finishing ourselves isn't the same thing, is it? But it is, though. Deleting yourself would be the only way to actually avoid killing or causing any harm. Just existing, we have to accept there is some level of harm and death that's going to be caused by our existence, right? So it's important to realize veganism's not about like a be-all, end-all solution to all suffering in the world. It's not how it's going to go, you know? It doesn't work like that. The only thing that got destroyed here is whatever was left of Piers' credibility as a journalist. Good one. So true. So true. I don't think this went how Piers thinks it went. Absolutely. I've defended the bees for years, Piers Morgan. Never in my life I heard him talking about bees until now. Now, I mean, he has, but he doesn't defend bees. He doesn't defend bees at all. He pays for them to be, exploited for honey, and also he's therefore directly funding the stuff that he's going on about here as well. I'm sorry, Piers, but your debating sounds like the kind of debates my little brother used to have with my mum about eating sweets. I said that, didn't I? I said he sounds like a kid, and here's somebody else mentioning it too. Joey is actually smashing this debate. This title is the perfect clickbait for advocating the vegan message. Absolutely. Because the title for this video is like something like Piers Morgan destroys vegan. So Piers calling bees the little guys always ends me. Yeah. I'm apologizing to myself for watching most of this video. Funny. There's a vegan comment there, but we're not going to read comments from vegans. I just want to see if some some normal people. Yeah, some non-vegan comments. Let's see what anyone else is saying. I'm not a vegan, but it sounds like the chef needs to learn to handle criticism better, and Piers needs to learn what the word destroys means. Good one. All Piers Morgan can say is, what about almonds and avocados? Imagine naming your own video of this, then proceeding to completely lose your argument for 12 minutes. Damn. I'll make donations every month to Joey for continuing to save animal lives, and yes, bees, of course. Piers, this is not your best work. You were out-debated very soundly. Your guest was well-prepared, and I'm afraid you weren't. Quoting The Guardian is like using Wikipedia in a bibliography. Funny. Where's the part where Piers destroys the vegan? Yeah, he's getting smoked here. Like, there's really not many... here we go. This vegan didn't irritate me. He looked and sounded sane. And the chief looked like he's got a problem with that photo with him keeping a chef... The chef looks like he's got a problem with that photo with him keeping a dead pig like a baby in his arms, and his attitude towards his customers. When you say that you have vegan stuff on the menu, but then the customer discovers that this is not true once in the restaurant. See, it's a good point. It's any normal, logical, reasonable, rational person is going to spot this. The problem with Piers is he sits there, asks a question of the person he disagrees with, then constantly tries to interrupt while the person is answering, on top of putting words in their mouths, then sits there and lets the guest he agrees with have their say uninterrupted and taken as long as they wish. He ain't fooling everyone with his BS tactics. In this case, I think everyone in this interview, including Piers, are full of it. Everyone? Joey wasn't full of it. Joey barely even got to say what he wanted to say. Does Piers really think he destroyed Joey? Joey easily 2v1'd and got the arguments on his side while you tried to make him stop talking because you know he's right. Yep. That's pretty much exactly what happened. And Piers is still afraid of talking to Earthling Ed. Well, the thing is, if Earthling Ed came on, it wouldn't go any differently. Ed would not be able to get words out. Piers would just interrupt him constantly. I think actually Joey is probably one of the only people that can go on and handle Piers, because I feel like Ed wouldn't. I don't feel like Ed would be anywhere near as good, because Ed's not so good with being interrupted as far as I can see. He's very polite. Whereas Joey is not interested in niceties and politeness. If Piers talks over him, Joey will talk over him back. Joey's from the streets, right? He's used to this kind of stuff. He's been in shouting matches, you know. He's not scared to go face to face. He's been involved in physical stuff from his past. So this stuff is nothing to him, right? You know, like verbal altercations where like you have to like talk over each. He's not new to that. Joey's experienced in this. Ed, on the other hand, I think is calm natured and he's brilliant, but I think Piers would just not let him get his word out and then keep interrupting him, and then eventually Ed wouldn't even be able to finish his sentences. And that'll be the end of that. I think it was the same when Orla went on from Animal Rising. The Irish girl who was also like a teacher, and yeah, she was calm. She had all her facts ready. Didn't matter. Piers wouldn't let her speak, and she wasn't, prepared enough, or I don't know. Like she's not from the streets. She's not used to arguing like that, fighting against somebody like that, verbally or physically. So it was very difficult for her. Joey is experienced in both, so yeah, he's absolutely the right person to get up there. I mean, I'm pretty confident in myself at arguing with people, but I've never experienced somebody as bad as Piers. So even I would struggle, and I find myself, I feel like I'm pretty confident in shouting over somebody if I need to, but Piers is a different beast. It's his show. He's in control. He's got all the lights on. You've invited you on, and he's doing this daily. Do you understand? Like, it's not something you can just pick up and go in. I'd have a good go of it, but I don't back myself, that with Piers. I'd need to really prepare for this and like really plan and get my head in a space where it's like, you cannot let him walk all over you. And that's really hard to get in that space when you know someone's going to be such a douche and really try and put you off. So yeah, I totally back Joey. I would pick Joey every time to go up against Piers, every single time without fail. I'm not a vegan, but Piers definitely didn't destroy this vegan. Piers is a little embarrassing here and has no idea what he's talking about. True that. True that. Piers, bees get murdered, bees get murdered, bees get murdered. Chef, vegans are quick to throw around the term murder. It's so true. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So funny. Chef is just like, Piers daddy. He was so, I just want to keep revisiting that because it cracks me up so much how Piers was this chef's daddy for a little bit. Like, oh, let me teach you how to talk. Let me teach you what to say. Oh, thanks, daddy. Thanks, daddy. I honestly think the vegan guy came out so reasonable, and no, I'm not vegan. Good. Piers was way out of his depth. Not preparing properly is a sure sign of overconfident arrogance, which he displayed here. He has guests on this show, and if he disagrees with them, he just tries to talk over them with shallow arguments. This guy presented him with some facts, and all he could do was scoff on about bee murders, thinking he was making a killing point, when it just got cringeworthy and made him look a right fool. The point that the restaurant owner was a wimp to fold after a complaint was something Piers should have put to the chap. Yeah, Piers is often the type of guy to call people out. Why did he not call the restaurant, get the chef out and be like, do you not think you're being a bit soft, mate? Do you not think you're being a bit of a pussy? You've like banned all these people because you got one bad review. Come on, mate, grow up. Or that a good chef could be artistic enough to come up with some vegan alternatives instead of running away. He's not listening or debating properly. He's only arguing his personal ideals. This is not proper journalism. Even a clown like Ben Shapiro, who was humiliated by a real journalist, Andrew O'Neill, could smash Piers on a subject like gun control in America. Shows that Morgan is a shell of an intellect. He's a British embarrassment. That's so true because yeah, I saw that debate with him and Ben Shapiro, and it was embarrassing. Piers got absolutely destroyed in that. It was really bad. Gorek, thank you so much for the tip, mate. I think Joey did absolutely great, which is proven by the comment section. On a side note regarding the finishing off, vegan orgy sounds great to me. Oh, good one. Good one. Cheers, Gorek. Appreciate that, mate. Why does he think only vegans eat almonds? That's a really funny point because it's like globally, the majority of people are not vegan, right? And the almond industry doesn't just make almonds for vegans. Therefore, the almond issue is a non-vegan issue. Like if vegans stopped eating almonds, the industry would continue probably just the same as before. It wouldn't change it that much at all. Like if vegans stop eating almonds, it wouldn't affect anything. So yeah, it's actually it's not a vegan issue necessarily. We had a bee company that pollinated avocados and billions did not die. And last time I looked, more meat eaters eat avocados and almonds than vegans do. Yeah, nice. Good timing. Just said that. As long as men massacre animals, they will kill each other. Indeed, he who sows the seeds of murder and pain cannot reap the joy and love. Pythagoras. Nice. I don't think I've ever seen a more misleading title. I feel bad for Piers if he seriously believes this is true. And if that's the case, this reinforces the notion that carnists are the ones who prefer to stay in the dark. Good comment. That's a vegan. Definitely a vegan, though. Joe Public does not use the word carnist. In what universe did Piers destroy the vegan? I'm sorry, but he lost. It's good that, I mean, most of the big comments with like hundreds of likes are laughing at Piers. This story is hilarious. It's the first report I heard of this was that he had the cheek to charge the customers something ridiculous like $32 for a plate of vegetables. Now he's hung himself more by stating that the customer called in advance, stating her dietary requirements. He accepted the booking and told her he could facilitate her requirements and basically changed his mind, and somehow she's at fault. It doesn't matter if you're plant-based, vegetarian, celiac, or whatever. She, as in the customer, did everything she could to ensure her needs were met. He was happy to accept her custom, and then when he couldn't be bothered on the day and tried to rip her off with the plate of expensive veggies, he suddenly cries foul, acts the victim, and denounces an entire group of people. Wow. This guy is such a... He's such a little bitch, isn't he, this chef? It's so funny. It's so funny how much he is that. Joey is the only man who has the facts in this show. I'm far from a vegan. I eat more like Dr. Paul Saladino. But I got to say, Piers and the other gentleman didn't win this debate. Funny. Yeah. Great that the top comments are so, like, against him. I think Piers actually got destroyed in this one. Great job, Piers. If you don't like the facts that someone presents you with, just shout over them. That's the Piers tactic, isn't it? That's what you do. So funny. I do love Piers, but how in the world did he destroy this vegan? Joey had good arguments and was actually quite prepared. I wish Morgan would let his guests finish their arguments before presenting his. Or I wish he'd answer a bloody question once in a while. He can't answer the questions that Joey puts forward because he knows what will happen next. He'll just get embarrassed. If someone respects animal rights 99% of the time and lives in a more environmental friendly way, that's not a valid argument to focus on the 1% from a person who doesn't respect those things 90% of the time. This is what we were getting at earlier. I agree with many things Piers says, but being as vegan as possible isn't a bad thing. No one is forcing other people to become vegan. Joey's activism is based on just explaining to people what happens in the food industry. They work very hard to hide how cruel they are to animals. It's not like in traditional farms. So the first part of this where he's pointing out that Joey is the person who is doing everything he can to respect animal rights. Piers is doing nothing. And it's not, he's right. It's unreasonable for Piers to put Joey on blast. It's like, he doesn't have the right to do that, right? It doesn't make sense for him to do that. I'm not a vegan, but I think there's a huge difference between a pig and a bee. Well, there is. That's just objectively true. There's a massive difference between a pig and a bee. There's a massive difference between a pig and a human too. But I get the point. I guess the point he's trying to make there. Well, there's a massive difference between what's happening to them. That's the important part. Like pigs are literally bred in farms to be gone into a slaughterhouse, gas chambered, and stabbed in the throat. Bees is a whole other topic. They're not bred to be killed. They're exploiting them for honey, and then they're pollinating plants, right? Obviously, the honey exploitation is bad, and the current system of pollination is also bad. But the goal is not to breed them to slit their throats, right? This is why I'm saying the priorities are important. We need to prioritize, in my opinion. Come on, Piers, you can't compare The Guardian to long-term studies. Oh, well, he didn't compare them. He just straight up ignored Joey, didn't he? There was no comparison. He just ignored what Joey said and then tried to talk about The Guardian. DJ Lionel, thank you so much for the tip, mate. Appreciate it. Legend. Thank you for supporting the stream. Guys, please keep it up. You're really helping me out when you tip, okay? As you guys know, recently, just an FYI for those that weren't around when I was talking about this. I don't know, actually. Maybe I'll make a new announcement for you, actually. We've updated our situation. So basically, I was telling you that the rent here had doubled where I'm currently living, right? And turns out like that did happen and a lot of other things happened as well. And because of all this stuff, we're actually leaving. We're actually leaving the country. We're leaving Turkey. So this studio here, gone. We have to move, unfortunately. So that's brutal. And we're going to have to reset up again in a different place. Don't know where that's going to be yet. We're going to have to look at our options. But I will tell you that, you know, if you ever thought about supporting the channel, if you ever thought about, you know, getting involved with the tips, joining the Patreon team, joining the YouTube memberships team, and you're thinking like, maybe should I, shouldn't I? Does he really need the help? Does he really need the support? I mean, yeah, like now will be a pretty awesome time because right now we've got a lot of stuff to sort out. We've got a lot of new costs coming in that we need to set up a new studio. We need to set up a new home, moving costs and stuff like that. And you know, it's pretty brutal. So yeah, if you ever thought about supporting the channel so we can do more of this work and continue doing the important work that we're doing, as well as the other projects that I'm working on as well, definitely please do consider joining the team now. It would you know, help out a hell of a lot right now so we can set up a new studio and get things going again. Maybe the this actual background here, this might stay because I think I'm going to try to like do some green screen stuff. So you might see that I still use this background, but yeah, I need to set up a new studio eventually. Can't just keep on using green screens forever. So yeah, guys, and I can't use green screens for live streams either. So yeah. So thank you to everybody who already is in the Patreon team, by the way. Everybody who is supporting already, I appreciate you a lot. You guys are helping us out big time right now. And everybody in the YouTube memberships team. I hope some of you guys decide to join and help us keep this train on the tracks. And remember, with Patreon, you get to DM me as well. It's a big bonus that you get. If you sign up on YouTube, you get the cool green logo and stuff, and you get like the green names. Everyone sees you're a legend. If you sign up on Patreon, then you get to like have DMs with me, which I think is pretty cool. I like chatting with you guys, so that's it's a lot of fun. So yeah, consider it, guys. Thank you. You guys asking me about Turkey. I mean, we moved. So the reason we moved here to Turkey is because of it being so cost efficient, and then it just wasn't. All of a sudden, it was like everything's cost effective. Yeah, it's great here. It's cheap. We can live here, and we can actually get the shit done, and you know, for a smaller amount. Like, great, let's do that. And then, yeah, then it wasn't that anymore. So simple as that. Stuff started to get more and more expensive and less convenient. It was like, wow, okay, these two things together, and then some stuff with like visas and shit. Oh my god, like visa costs and like just all going. Oh, it's just all mad, So yeah, bit crazy, guys, a bit crazy. Does buying merch help too? Yeah, Vegan Wesker does help a lot as well. I don't get like a huge amount, I'll be honest with you, from like kickback for merch. What I'm saying is I'm not overcharging for merch. The merch is priced where there's like a little bit helps me, like I get a little bit of profit from it. But I wanted to make it like the balance between fair, you know, like reasonable for people to buy, but also so it's a little bit for me. Like, put it this way, I set up the merch so it's actually the pricing is below the average, and they tell me that on the website. They're like, you realize you're pricing it below average. And I'm like, well, yeah, because I want people to get a good deal. You know what I mean? I want you guys to get some cool vegan merch, and I don't want it to be more expensive than I believe it should be. So I price it that way. But yes, in short, it does help. Thank you. And you should definitely pick up one of these bad boys. It's my favorite. That's why I wear it all the time. Master of Veggies, Veganism, Metallica t-shirt. It's my favorite one. So what's going on in the chat? We're gonna react to. I'm gonna have a little look through the chat in a minute and like see if there's any questions or anything. So guys, if you want to send through a couple questions, I'll do a little bit of a to and fro with you in the chat in a minute. Then we'll have a look at the vegan booty protest that she did with Jack a partner at the restaurant, at the Fire restaurant, because it got very intense, and I think we definitely need to take a look at that. And this guy's in it, you know, the guy we've just been roasting. He's there. He's in the video. He's doing some stuff. It's pretty crazy. So we'll get to that in a minute. Cannot decide which merch to get. I mean, I recommend either this one. I think this one turned out really nice. I really like this one. Or there's if you like the rock stuff, there's this one. There's the other Metallica one, the Kill 'Em All one, or Save 'Em All, the way I've done it. I like that one a lot. And the other one I like is I like just the big Ram one. I think that one's pretty cool as well. But there's loads of different stuff on there. I mean, that's probably why you can't decide. Here's a solution for you. Just buy one of each. Just go for it. Just treat yourself. Treat yourself. You're worth it. Yeah, you're definitely worth it. What else we got going on here? Yeah, I want them all. Definitely. How's the working out going? Yeah, it's going well. It was good. And then I had some time where I couldn't get to a gym, unfortunately. So I've been doing some like home stuff, which is nowhere near as impactful. I mean, like you can see, I don't have much of a pump on right now, you know, because it's like just doing home stuff. You don't get much of a pump from that. So I will be back at the gym again. I think from tomorrow I can get back there again. It's open again because it's just been like Eid, you know, and in Turkey the Eid is like Christmas, so everything's closed. It's like Christmas for anybody who lives in the West. It's like Christmas, and so everything was closed. But it should be opening again tomorrow. Happy Eid to anybody who celebrates that, by the way. I see they've been going next level with the celebrations in Paris, so yeah. And in France. All right, moving on. So yeah, I'll be getting back there. But I've been feeling good, though. I've been, you know, the weight has been increasing quite a lot. I hope I've not been now for like a little bit of time. So I hope when I go back, I've still got the strength. I definitely feel like not as pumped and it's bothering me. It's like that whole thing where it's like when you go to the gym and you feel good, you're like, yeah. And then you like take some time off to maybe, I don't know, let your joints, give your joints a break and stuff. And you just feel like all the muscle disappears. And it's just because you're so used to being pumped all the time. When you go like every day, it's brutal. It's so annoying. You feel like so skinny. But then you weigh yourself and it's like, well, I weigh the same. So it's like, I'm clearly not losing that much, you know? Like I weigh more or less the same, but you just look in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I'm so skinny. It's like, it's so frustrating. Mark says, love the topic for camp out. I appreciate it, mate. So guys, for those of you that don't know, I'm giving a talk at the vegan festival, the UK vegan festival, the vegan camp out this year. I'm very excited for it. I got my time already, so it's all up on the website. I'll be doing my talk on the Saturday at, what was it? What time was it even? It's like 3 p.m., something like that, I think. It's up there on the website anyway, so check it out. And yeah, I'm very excited. The title of the talk I'm going to be giving is What is a Meat Flake? And yeah, there you go. I'm not going to tell you any more because it's a surprise. It's a surprise what we're going to be doing there. But I will record it. So if any of you can't make it, if you're on the other side of the world or whatever, you're not going to the camp out, I'm going to try and get a good high quality recording of the talk and then put it up on YouTube so you guys can watch it. It might be too spicy for YouTube. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm quite excited about it. Maybe I don't think they're going to be streaming any of the talks, the actual festival, but if they are, then that could be a good way that you guys could check it out. But yeah, I'll find out, let you guys know. But yeah, I guess Mark's going to be going. See you there, Mark. Yeah, what is a meat flake? That's the talk. That's what it's going to be. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything more. I'm going to leave it to mystery. You'll have to just guess what it's all going to be about. Right. Should we take a look at Tash Peterson and Jack Higgs going into that guy's restaurant and causing some havoc? Do you guys want to check that out? Is that interesting to you? Because it is havoc. Like, I'm talking about this guy, by the way, like this guy's restaurant. This is the place here, Fire. You can see the background. This is where they went. So they went and did a disruption, and havoc is the only word for what they caused. Like it is mental what they did. So if you want to see that, give me some thumbs up in the chat, right? and we'll dive in and we'll take a look. But I got to give you a pre-warning. It's hardcore, guys. Your heart might start pumping, high adrenaline. It is mad. It is brutal. It's crazy. It's like I think it's like one of the craziest disruptions I've ever seen from Tash. All right, so yeah, you guys are in for it. Don't say I didn't warn you. I mean, I'm building it up, I suppose, building it up a bit much. But when I watched like a little bit of it, I was like, oh my God, this is wild. But I mean, you reap what you sow. This guy wanted attention. He got what he deserved, right? I mean, you're gonna come out and do shit like go on Piers Morgan and chat all that shit, and vegans just might turn up at your restaurant. All right, so it's from Tash Peterson's Instagram, but I have to play it here, okay? But if you want to actually go and check it out for real and leave a comment, go to Tash Peterson's Instagram, which is Vegan Booty, all right? But I'm gonna play it on this tab so we can pause it when we need to and shit like that. All right, let's dive in. Let's check the volume because it's loud. Okay. Who said that? Did you hear that? Someone said hello, motherfuckers, did they? Let's go, motherfuckers, was it? I think it was hello, motherfuckers. Oh my God.
Screens aren't playing. The sounds you hear now are pigs screaming for their lives inside carbon dioxide gas chambers. They burn from the inside out. You're responsible for their murder if you're not vegan. And their blood is on your hands. Animals want to live.
See him grabbing. He's got him by like the back of his hood there. It's interesting how he went straight for Jack. I guess he was probably thinking, oh, I don't want them to have a video of this. But I didn't realize. I mean, there's someone filming. Look at that bottom right there. The blonde woman's filming. They have their own people filming. It's like, mate, you were not going to stop them from filming this. But I guess, that's what he was trying to do.
Animals want to live! Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain!
I think like Tash comes out here, or she comes near the door, I think because she was watching Jack. She wanted to obviously make sure he was all right. But I think that was the mistake she made because they get her out pretty easily after this.
Animals have families! Their bodies! Their lives! Their milk! Their eggs! Animals want to live! Come on,
He's grabbing, look at him grabbing everyone's phones. So the thing is like each of these moments where he grabs someone, if they wanted to take him to court, they could take him to court for these are all like, they're minor assaults, but he can't do that. He's not allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure, at least by most countries' laws, you can't just walk up to somebody like that and do that. I'm pretty sure. You can remove them, I think, but you can't snatch their phones away because you don't want them to film you, right? You can call the police and say like, oh, they're filming me without permission or whatever if it's private property and stuff, but you can't just go and snatch their phones away. It depends on how much they want to do this. It depends on how much time and how likely it is that they would get charged or whatever. But yeah, you can see his face. He's so incredibly unhappy. But like I said, I mean, what did you expect was going to happen, man? You go on TV, you're laughing about dead piglets. You go on Piers Morgan and you mock vegans. You're mocking vegans on Facebook. You're taking, you've decided to absolutely go hard on this and be a total douche. I mean, you're dealing with protesters. You're dealing with people who a lot of vegans protest. So what did you think? They weren't going to protest at your restaurant? What did you expect?
Their bodies! Their lives! You have blood on your hands!
Okay.
Psychopath! You have blood on your hands! If you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser! Watch Dominion on YouTube for the truth! Listen to their screams! Animal abusers! Total losers! Their bodies! Animals want
His hair's fucking hard. He's got it by the throat. Look at that. You see that? His whole. I mean, I don't know if she's leaning into. No, he's got about a scruff at least. Yeah.
to live!
Probably thumb near the throat.
Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live!
There's still quite a lot of them inside, I think.
Pain!
Oh man, look at the public. Look at their faces. They're so incredibly uncomfortable. And that's the point of it. For those that are watching this, like, this is hardcore, I don't understand. Oh my God, this is too mean. This is bad image for vegans, blah, 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 blah. The whole point of this type of protest is not to convince somebody to, just have a miraculous vegan moment on the spot. This is not what this is for. There are other forms of activism that are for that. This is all about making people face up to what they're paying for. This is making them face the uncomfortable truth. They're all sat there thinking they were having the best night probably before this. Celebrity chef restaurant, best night ever. They go in there and it's all of a sudden, oh, fuck. Yeah, this is a dead animal, right? This is not some fancy chef's meal. This is literally a dead animal. And it forces them to face up to it. That's the point of these protests. So, of course, there are ways you could do this without doing what Tash does. You don't need to scream. You could go in and sing or read a poem, or you could just go in and play videos and not say a word, right? There's lots of ways to do it. Tash chooses to do it this way. We could all debate about if this is the best way to do a disruption or not. I'm sure Tash is up for that debate. But the point is the point of disruptions is to do exactly what's happening here, is to make all these people face up to what they are paying for, and they look just so incredibly uncomfortable. Jack's getting slapped by trying to touch the camera.
Don't touch the camera! Their bodies! Their lives!
It's funny how desperate they are to block the cameras. I wonder what they would be doing if they weren't being filmed.
Animals feel pain!
Get out. Nope. I'm all right. Thanks. I'm going to stay sat here.
Animals want to live! Animals feel pain!
He's not laughing now, though, is he, huh? He was laughing at Joey, like mocking Joey, telling jokes and shit like that. It doesn't look like he's having the best time now, does he?
Bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain!
They're trying to close the door, and she's not letting them have it.
Their lives!
Have they got everybody out? Oh, she kicked her. You see that?
Police officer and I'll friggin' arrest you!
Oh yeah, police officer, sure. So a police officer booted Tash. Did you see that? Booted Tash, right? And then Tash boots her back, and then she's like, "Oh, I'll arrest you." Yeah, sure, mate. Look at that. Boom.
Want to live! Police officer and I'll friggin' arrest you, okay?
She can't arrest her. She was assaulted first. So, that woman, apparently, actually, I saw Tash said she charged that woman for assault. That's actually been registered, I think, with the police.
Want to live! I'm a police officer.
Look at him coming after Jack. Oh, man, look at his face. He's having to be held back. What is he going to do? What was he going to do, though? The guy couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag. You can see it from everything about him. His mate's barely holding him back. He's almost giving his mate a cuddle, isn't he? Oh, my God. This is just, I guess it's such calamity here, isn't it? It's so mad. Like, the best thing you can do as a restaurant owner when this stuff happens, if honestly, I'm thinking about the other side here, is to ask them how long they want to be there for, and just ask them when they're going to leave. I don't know, negotiate with them, like, 5 minutes. Is that all right? I'll give you 5 minutes and then please leave. And maybe just something like that. Because, I mean, this doesn't look good for him. It doesn't look good for his staff. It doesn't look good for anyone. They got a news crew there. Look at that guy in the background with the big camera. They got an actual news crew there. Yeah, this is not the way you want to act, and it's embarrassing. He's embarrassing himself. I remember, like, vegans would normally do this kind of stuff at McDonald's or KFC, right? The big boys, the ones that really cause, the massive amounts of, like, slaughter and the massive amounts of animal exploitation. But they've only targeted this guy because he started this. He's the one who kicked off at vegans first. He's the one that started all of this. It's his own fault that his business was targeted, right? Yeah, if you don't want to be a target for animal rights protests, then don't come out and say horrible shit about animals and animal rights activists. You may likely be a target, and it's like, don't get me wrong, it's not like they're going to smash up your business or something. They may just come in and shout. If you don't want that to happen, don't do that kind of shit. Don't make yourself a target then. It's that simple. You know, I mean, I don't have any sympathy for the guy. He really brought this upon himself. And all he really brought upon himself, let's be clear, is some vegans shouting. They didn't break anything, didn't smash anything, didn't hit anyone. They went in there and started shouting. It's like, it's not the end of the world, mate. But, you know. Bravo on this one, Tash. You're a massive heroine for the animals. Shame on those indifferent, selfish, gluttonous people. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And great point as well. She does a great job here. It takes an incredible amount of bravery to go and do something like this. And, you know, totally commend her and all the other people who've gone in there and done this. Just look at them sharing a warm embrace because he was just so close to going and just doing something that he would regret, right? Yeah, sure. Get back inside, mate. What's he grabbing at? What did he just do then? I was just quickly glancing at the chat. She's stood outside and he chooses to grab it. Or does she try and get in? 1 second. Let's have a look. No, she's just near the door. That's all it was. It keeps fucking jumping on my side. I don't know if it's jumping on your side. His mate keeps on, it looks like it might be his brother, keeps on telling him like, no, don't. It's like, yeah, mate, you probably shouldn't be putting hands on anybody. Partly because you're clearly not strong enough to actually hold anyone. Like, I think Tash would kick his ass, but also because you're a pretty high-profile individual, and there's a lot of footage here of you putting hands on people who are just shouting, right? They're shouting things that you don't like. You put hands on them on camera, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, aren't you?
Their bodies! Their lives! Animals want to live!
They're really trying to get that door shut. Tash is pretty strong, huh? Look at that.
Get the fuck off.
Two of them can't get her off it. Get those blinds down.
Animals want to live.
God, imagine being in the restaurant and they're putting down the blinds and they're like fighting over the door. You'd just be like, oh my God, I don't want to. And like I said, all this could have been avoided. Well, all of it could have been avoided for them is if, first of all, they didn't kick off with the vegans. And if, second of all, they said, dealt with the protesters by like, oh yeah, like I said, well, okay, how long are you going to do this for? It should have been expecting this, right? This day was always going to come. You've kicked off, you started this. The protesters came. All right then. Best case scenario for you, negotiate with them. Ask them how long, when can we leave, how long are you going to stay? But this is embarrassing. This is, for them, so embarrassing. Fighting with the door, putting blinds down, him grabbing people, this woman kicking people. Oh, my God. And it's good work by the activists for sticking around this long. And, people really, you can't look away. And this is the point of this activism. You can't look away. You have to hear what they're saying. You have no choice. It's very in your face. But then what they're doing in that restaurant is very in the face of those animals that have been killed in slaughterhouses, isn't it? You know what I mean? So... Who's more aggressive here? Tash and the activists, or the people who paid other people to go and shoot those animals in the head, in some cases, gas them in other cases, electrocute them in other cases, and slit their throats? Who's more aggressive? Tash, or the man posing with a dead pig in his profile picture as a joke? I think we all know the answer to that.
Animals feel pain! Their bodies!
It's mad that they can't get her off the door. Tash is strong. There's people still doing it. Oh, they almost got it.
Animals feel pain! Just like us! Their bodies! Not ours! Their lives!
And now they can just continue outside.
Animal abuse is
Yeah,
tidal
they can put those blinds down, right? But they can't stop the audio, can they? All right, and this is now they've disrupted inside. They've caused all that. They've done a good job, and like their night's ruined. That's the point. The nights of these people, and it might sound mean that I'm saying that, but what they were doing, what they were engaging in, is caused such horrendous abuse and such violence to animals. So yeah, their night's ruined. Maybe next time they'll go to a vegan restaurant, right? So they don't have to feel guilty. So that's the way I see it. But yeah, it's not going to get any better when they put the blinds down because they're still out there shouting. It's out of breath. Yeah, you get out of breath with it's the adrenaline as well. Adrenaline makes you out of breath, and obviously she's been screaming all the way along. She's got crazy stamina, hasn't she?
Animals want to live! Animals feel pain!
Need a megaphone though, I think. Might be a little easier.
Animals want to live! Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their milk! Their eggs! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their milk!
Man, that guy holding a baby shouting they're delicious. I mean, that's a dad. That's someone's dad. Oh, that's embarrassing, isn't it? Man. Mark, thank you for the super chat, mate. Shame on carnivore climate scientists for not telling people that animal agriculture is a major generator of greenhouse gases. Yep, they conveniently avoid that one. Thank you, mate. Good point. Leave animals the fuck alone. Thank you for the tip, mate. Thanks for the great stream. Ah, thank you. Thank you for giving me the feedback and the tip. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is a hardcore protest, guys. And I know this splits the vegans up. And I know there's some of you in the comments here, there's some of you watching who are thinking, this is bad. This is bad for, like, you know, whatever. Look, if you don't agree with this, if you think this is too hardcore and you think it's a bad impression, blah, 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 you're entitled to that. If you want to think that, you can think that, right? Maybe this isn't for you. I explained why they do it. I explained the point of it. It's the same tactics used as like the civil rights movement, the same tactics used as like suffragettes. This is the kind of stuff like sit-ins and disruptions and these types of things, right? But maybe you don't think that really works for animal rights. Maybe you don't think it's a really good way of doing the vegan stuff. That's fine if you want to think that. It's fine. But there is still a way that you can benefit from that, even if you don't agree with it. For example, when people tend to say, it's a point of conversation, right? Somebody in Australia will go, oh my fucking God, did you see that Tash Peterson, that crazy bitch? Like, did you see what she did? Oh my God, it was crazy. I saw it in the news. Like, she kicked someone, stuff like that, right? Now, if you're a vegan and you're hearing that conversation, or they're telling you, okay, now you can talk about veganism, can't you? You get what I'm saying? Okay, yeah, you're right. That was pretty crazy, wasn't it? Like, Tash is like really loud, and you could, yeah. It's not the kind of activism I like, but she's got a point, right? No, what's the point? Well, listen to what was she shouting? Oh, gas chambers, pigs are killed in gas chambers, that animal abuse. It is animal. Well, it's horrible, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I guess it's horrible. See what I mean? So it's like, even if you don't vibe with this, even if you don't agree with this, for whatever reason, it's still beneficial because people are going to talk about it. She's in the bloody news. She's always in the news. And that means that conversations are happening. So I think it's super important to realize that even if you don't like this, and even if you think Tash is too extreme or whatever, you can still benefit from her work. It doesn't need to be, and that doesn't mean shitting on her, by the way. It means that when people will bring it up, and you can benefit by getting into more conversations about veganism. Same thing with that vegan teacher. You know, she's not everyone's cup of tea, but she starts conversations, and like most people, like young people, they say, when they meet a vegan, they say, what do you think about the vegan teacher? And it opens up a conversation. And that's a good thing. Conversation is good. We need to be bringing this up. Because if you bring it up, oh, typical fucking vegan, always talking about veganism, right? And, you might not get anywhere. But if they bring it up, well, they're interested. See what Tash did. See what vegan teacher did. See what they said. Now we're in a vegan conversation. And I think that's valuable.
Eggs! Animals want to live! Animals feel pain! Their bodies! Their milk! Their eggs! Their skin! Their wool! If you attend this restaurant, you're an animal abuser, and their blood is on your hands! Animal abusers, total losers! Their bodies! Their milk! Their eggs! Animals want to live!
Shit's the 10 time.
Animals feel pain!
I can't imagine being in there. It must be so uncomfortable and awkward for them.
Their milk!
Damn. So there you go, guys. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments right now. Are you like, give me some thumbs up and some comments, like if you're like thinking that's good, and tell me what you think if you don't think it's good. Tell me, what do you think about what I just said about it, if you don't agree with it, about how you can still benefit from it? What do you think about that? I think Tash did a great job here. I think Jack did a great job. I think the best thing they did is keep their cool. I think that when the guy was grabbing them, the guy came after Jack as well, and they did really well at keeping their cool and making him look like a bit of a dick. He looked stupid, didn't he? You know, he's coming out all aggressive, and they're just kind of like, you know, not really going toe-to-toe with him. They're kind of moving away and continuing what they were going to do, and he made a massive fool of himself and showed that he had like the pseudo-aggression as well. That was quite funny. Like, oh, I'm going to go and get him. And then, oh, don't get him. Yeah. Oh, yeah, good job you held me back because I was going to go and do so. Yeah, sure you were, mate. You know, really, really embarrassing for the restaurant owner and for the workers too. And I think Tash did a good job. I think it's important to have this kind of stuff as well as like outreach, as well as the debate tables and stuff like that. It's good to have some more disruptive stuff as well. I think it's really important for the reasons I've already mentioned. You know, the debate tables ain't going to get in the news, right? Outreach videos ain't going to get in the news. And we need to amplify what we're saying. And in today's world, to get amplification of these topics, of these issues about animals, you've got to go out there and do some shit. Right, so this guy banning the vegans and the whole vegan backlash and all this stuff, that got Joey Carbstrong on Piers Morgan. It got Tash out to this guy's restaurant. They were the #1 news story in the Australian news. Are you going to get to the #1 story on Australian news without doing this kind of stuff? No, ain't happening. Right? Are you going to get on Piers Morgan without kicking off some drama and, you know, vegans criticizing some guy online and like going hard? Are you going to get on Piers Morgan? No. So I understand. The thing is, it's different hats for different situations. You can't do this in every situation, what Tash is doing here. It's not applicable for every situation. You can't dogpile people in every situation, right? Dogpile in a restaurant, maybe. Dogpile in a celebrity, possibly, if they've done something shitty and they're being horrible about it. But in real life, if you're like talking to someone and you just scream at them like Tash did, no, you wouldn't do that, right? And Tash wouldn't do that. If someone's talking to her, and you've seen her, she does outreach videos, right? So it's different hats for different scenarios and different tools in your toolbox for different situations, and it's important. So just keep that in mind, guys. And you know, maybe you'll never get involved with something like that. Maybe you will. Who knows? Who knows? But either way, think before you judge, I would say, with stuff like this, right? That goes for Joey as well. Think before you judge him. A lot of people criticized Joey about how he was on Piers Morgan. They said he didn't. I saw a lot of people talking about the bees thing, that he didn't do well enough. They were saying they didn't really solve the. It's like, look, when you go on Piers Morgan, the best you can hope for is that people research what you're talking about. You're not going to be able to argue with Piers. You're not going to be able to get your point across. Joey had more points. He just got out quickly what he had, very quickly, the data points. He's never going to be able to elaborate on his points. You got to realize that. So it's not fair to criticize Joey and you know, or say like he gave a bad impression or whatever. It's Piers Morgan. You know, you're lucky if you come out neutral on Piers Morgan, never mind positive. Like, you know, you're lucky to give a neutral impression, never mind a good impression. Fortunately for Joey, most people agreed he gave a good impression. And same with Tash here, remember. You might be saying, oh, it's just bad for vegans. Da, 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 da. Well, she just put veganism on the menu for millions of people through this action, through the news. So there you go. You know, think twice before you go too hard on vegans, guys. And I think that's important across the board, really. You should absolutely always, if you see another vegan and they're doing work and they're, you know, going and doing activism and stuff like that, you know, a YouTuber or something, think twice before you go after them for any reason, you know? Like, if you think they've said something that's, like, really bad, think twice before, you know, going, like, canceling them or something, or going after them, starting some kind of campaign trying to ruin their career or ruin their activism, or really think about it. and think, okay, do I have like some sensible points to make? Okay, if I do, maybe I could drop them an email. Maybe I could make like a response video where I'm being, respectful and stuff like that. But definitely try to consider, if you're going to go in hard and be mean and horrible, consider what you're doing first. Because these things, they impact people heavily, It's one thing to have non-vegans going hard and being horrible and being shitty. And it's another thing to have people that are supposed to be on the same side of this issue doing it, right? So just always consider what your words cut, guys. Your words can be very powerful and very harmful to people who are already facing up to a lot of shit. And you don't know what's happening behind closed doors either. You don't know the kind of things that people like Joey and Tash, myself, other vegans on YouTube that you may come across. You don't know what they're facing behind the scenes. You don't know what kind of projects they're working on, the kind of horrors they're seeing, stuff in their personal lives. So just try to, consider all that stuff, because we want a vegan world. We want to try and change the world. So cut people some slack sometimes, yeah? Really important, I think. And really, really important. What are you guys saying in the chat? Let's have a look. I only cancel pick-me's and welfareists, turning vegan, he says. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you mean by cancel. If you mean like criticize, I mean, yeah, if it's reasonable criticism, then so be it, But again, I mean, I think first point of call would usually be to, I don't know, offer them like a chat, or maybe a DM them or something like that. Or if you're going to do a video, at least make it like something that you're trying to help them, as opposed to just slating them. This is all easier said than done, by the way, but it's just, I think it's a good way to try to be. Can imagine Tash talking to Piers and having her followers in the audience. Yeah. Well, I don't think he has an audience, actually, Piers. But that would have been good back in the day when he did the live morning shows, for sure. Yeah. So, guys, who of you are in the UK, by the way? Because I've got another small little announcement for you. There is an event happening. I don't know if it's been launched yet, but there is an event happening in Birmingham, I believe, by We the Free, like a massive activism event. And there's going to be like a training before it as well. So if any of you guys are in the UK, I will also be doing a part of a workshop, like an activism workshop, an outreach workshop with the We the Free guys on the day before this event. And then I'll also be out doing some outreach and just doing some activism work on the day of this event. Like I'll be probably filming some videos as well. So if you're around, definitely come down for that. Let me try and find out the details for you so you can know where that is. I don't actually know if there is an event, like an official event up for it yet. maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Maybe I've just blown it. No, I'm pretty sure there's something going on. Should have some kind of event up. But it's We the Free. Oh yeah, it's the We the Free UK Solidarity Day. It's on the 5th of August. And on the 4th of August, there's going to be a workshop to get everyone ready for the day, I suppose. Or like a refresher for some people, or for some people who've never had a workshop. So, highly recommend coming to that. It's on Facebook. Just put in WTF Birmingham and it'll come up. And then you'll be able to get it. 5th of August. It's like a 6-hour event. Starts in the morning and finishes in the afternoon. So exciting times. It'd be nice to get out there and see what's changed. I don't know how people are these days. It's been a while since I've spoken to people in the UK at least. Don't know how they are these days. Like what's going on? What are people talking about? What are the vegan excuses now? Yeah, I wonder. So yeah, try and get down to that, guys. Yeah, a couple of you are already doing outreach. What's that? Channel Animal Activism Mentorship has short of man assaulting vegan mom and kid yesterday. What's that? Oh, for real? Assaulting a vegan mom and the kid, really? Should we have a look at what that is? Activism mentorship. Or animal activism mentorship. A short. Man assaulted women and child at protest. Oh, bloody hell. Let's have a look. Oh, shit. Where is this? Where, is this? It's in the States. Oh shit! Look at that. Someone needs to kick that guy's ass. Someone's grabbed him. Is that his mate, do you think? Or... Oh man, people are going crazy here. Is it the same guy? Yeah. Did he punch him? My God, that guy needs. You know, I see videos like this when someone, you know, goes out of their way to like to physically, you know, get into a physical altercation like that, pushing kids around and stuff. And I feel like in that moment there needs to be a guy in that group who's capable of knocking that guy out. Like, I don't know. I feel like I mean, all of this, people say like vegans, like, oh, vegans, we need to be all pacifists. We need to be all, it's like, well, no, not really. Like if a guy pushes a kid and a woman and then punches someone in the face, I think a capable vegan in that group is absolutely justified to go in there and he's not like this guy's not like a handy, he's not like a fighter or something. He's not, you can see he's just a bully. If someone's capable of like trained, just one punch to this guy in the face, side of the head, temple area, and this guy's going to be down and done. And everybody in the comments would be there saying, thank you for smacking some sense into that guy. He hit a woman, he hit a kid, he punched a guy in the face. Thank you for this person for, you know, cleaning him out. Because I think it's like, but it annoys me that I think as vegans, sometimes we're a bit too quick to lie down and take the shit, you know, because we think it's the right thing to do. Yeah, it's a shame that we don't have more trained people in these protests, just in case that happens, just in case, you know. It will be good to just have someone prepared for that. And it's good. I think I saw a protest recently. Well, not a protest, but like I've seen. There's some guy who goes out on the streets. He's not a vegan or anything, but he goes out and he asks people questions and he goes to protests and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't like him. He's a British guy. A lot of people don't like him because he asks questions that are controversial. He has a lot of controversial beliefs, and he goes to protests where people believe the opposite. So often quite left-wing protests, and he's more like, he doesn't agree with them. I don't know where he leans, but he doesn't agree with them. So he goes down there and he asks questions, and he's quite polite. And sometimes they get, you know, you've seen with these protests, like Antifa types try and grab his camera and like stuff like that. And he's very quick to threaten them. Like he'll be like, don't fucking touch my camera. If you do that again, I'm going to hit you. Right? He'll be like really aggressive when they touch his stuff. And I thought like, well, it's kind of refreshing to see because we do have a right to defend ourselves and our property. And too often I see vegans allow people to like smack their camera, smack their signs. I think sometimes it is important for us to be like, look, you're not the aggressor because you are there with a camera, or you're not the aggressor because you're there with a sign or a microphone. You're not an aggressor. You're there to do a protest. You're there to, right? You're trying to raise awareness or whatever. If they make physical contact with anything of yours, I think, well, maybe you should say like, do that again and you're going to get a slap. Like, you know, I think it's important we defend ourselves in that way. You are touching my property on my person. Like I'm wearing this property and you're hitting it. You're trying to take it. I will defend myself. And, you know, that might mean you get punched, you know? And I think it's about time that we, as vegans in these scenarios where this stuff could happen, like a disruption, I think it's about time that we kind of stand up for ourselves. I feel like it's been a long time coming that we need to stand up for ourselves. I think Tash did a pretty good job with it when they were grabbing the camera and she pushed the woman and said, "Don't touch the camera." That's self-defense. That's defending herself, her property, and her partner. You know, the property is on his person. You can't just start smacking stuff, right? I think it's really important that she's she's taken that. And then here with that video we just watched, it's quite disappointing that nobody actually did anything about that guy. That guy deserved something, something should have happened to him, either to hold him, like if someone's trained in some martial art, like jiu-jitsu or something like that, or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, to put him in some kind of hold until he calms down and make him realize that he can't move, right? And he needs to calm down. Or, like I said, just simply sock him one somewhere and to put him out of play. And this is me talking as somebody who, like, I'm not trained in any of this stuff either, right? I'm not saying like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do because I'm fucking hard. I'm saying that maybe, I'd try if it happened. I like to think I'd try, but it would be good to have somebody around in these protests, or like to have people start to train. If you do this a lot, maybe it's a good idea to start training, because this kind of stuff could happen to you. And somebody mentioned in the comments there that Tash is training self-defense, and that's important, I think, for the work that she's doing. Because, I said, the people will support somebody defending themselves, so if it's about the public image, well, I think the image will be good of you defending yourself against somebody physically trying to harm you or trying to harm your property, which is on your person, right? Because this shit's expensive. You need to defend yourself and defend your shit. Good. Glad we got down to the bottom of that one. I wonder if we can get Dave LeDuc to come to one. Yeah, Dave would be good to have at a disruption for sure. Although I don't know how it works with the stuff like that, because he's like a professional fighter. I think there's more legal stuff if he did end up making contact with somebody. I don't think it's quite the same as everybody else. I don't know. There's something with professional fighters. Then again, saying that, Conor McGregor has smacked a few people in public, and he's still going. He's not been banned from stuff or anything. So maybe it isn't a big deal at all. Conor McGregor punched an old man in a bar, in a pub. Some old dude, because something to do with whiskey or some shit. Guy's fucking lost it, apparently. Right. What's going on in the chat? You guys debating some Muslim stuff, huh? Oh, I'm not in the mood for that right now. Yeah, I made a post about that yesterday. About a lot of people like to point out, they say, hey, they say halal is but halal's so much worse. Why don't you vegans just focus on halal killing? Like, it's so much worse. It's so much worse. And you're like, okay, so in halal killing, they slit the animal's throat. In non-halal killing, they gas them, electrocute them, and then slit their throat, or shoot them in the head, then slit their throat. So it's like, you really want to argue between these two? That's what you want to do? You're like, oh, which one's worse? Oh, let's decide which one's worse. Like, yeah, sure. Is it worse to shoot them, then cut their throat, or just cut their throat? Who gives, really, that's the argument you want to have. That's the debate you want to have, right? What about just eating plants? How about that? How about that as the solution? Then you don't have to slit anyone's throat, shooting or not, And then I saw a vegan commented being like, oh, I like your post, but I disagree. Halal's clearly worse. It's like, spoken by somebody who's never seen either, most likely. Because I've been in both slaughterhouses and I've seen both processes, and neither is better or worse than the other. They really aren't. The animal's terrified, and gets electrocuted. Terrified, gets gassed. Or terrified, gets shot in the head. Or terrified, has their throat slit. Like, it's really, you know what I mean? It's crazy to me that anyone would be like, oh, no, but we need to talk about which is worse. Like, blows my mind. It's all just horrific violence, horrific, unnecessary violence. That's all. That's the only thing you need to know. Whichever way it's done, it's horrific, unnecessary violence. Just fucking eat a bean burger, My God. And if you're a Muslim and you want to do a sacrifice for Eid, I mean, buying a goat and having someone else kill them or killing them yourself, how is that a sacrifice? How are you sacrificing anything? I never understood that. If you want to sacrifice something, I'll give away your iPad, give someone your laptop, give someone like 10% of your yearly salary. That's a sacrifice. Not buying some animal from some breeder and then killing them. How are you sacrificing anything in that? I really don't get that. Religion doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right? It's often illogical, but that one really doesn't add up to me. You know? Mental. Well, we got through some spicy topics today, haven't we? Damn, it's a good, as I said earlier, it's a good job I'm not in France right now. I think they'd be coming for me. That is mad right now, what's happening though. I don't know if you guys are up to date with that. You should research it. It is wild over there right now. All that shit started in Paris and stuff, didn't it? And spread out. Mental. Oh, I've got mashed potatoes on the go. That is exciting. I am very hungry. I'm very hungry. Tell me what you guys having for dinner. Hit me. Get that in the comments. Let me have a look at what you guys having for dinner, and I'll see. Let me check. I had some other videos to have a look at. You know, while I'm doing that, you tell me what you guys are having for dinner. What do I have here? I had something to check out. Beans. Yep, nice. I had beans earlier. I literally had a bowl of beans and rice earlier. That's how poor we are. No, I just love beans and rice. Tamales, nice. I actually don't know what they are, but that sounds great. Bolo with lentils. I also have no idea what that is. Also sounds great. Salad sandwiches with curry sauce. That does not sound good. I am sorry. Like, that is... I'm not into that. Not into that at all. It's not for me. Quesadillas? What the bloody hell is a quesadilla? Never heard of that. Vegan chicken and fries. More my style. Homemade mushroom pizza sounds good. Nice. Vegan chicken fries. 2 of you having vegan chicken fries. Cool. Bolognese. Are we having bolognese today, Annie? I mean, that'd be nice. And potatoes. Tomato salad. Mikael, really? Are you guys all dieting? You're trying to lose some weight? What's going on with all these salads? Salads for pussies. Scrambled tofu, nice, love it. Fried satay tofu and roast vegetables, nice. Made my own baconaise yesterday. It was in a kebab. It was awesome. Tonight, just a Sunday roast. How did you make baconaise yourself? I need to know that. How did you do that? More beans. Nice. I feed off of Carna's tears. Yeah, that's nice. That's like very nutritious. That's the most nutritionally dense food in the world, actually, I think you'll find. I'm having mini potatoes dipped in hummus right now. That sounds good. Black coffee. Wow, someone is definitely dieting. That is a weight loss diet right there. Thanks for the super chat, mate. It says, to be honest, it was very shockingly kind of Mr. Morgan to allow back our Lord and Savior, Joey Carbstrong, on his shows after he called him a baby cow before. I forgot about that. You know what, a baby cow, bro? That was funny. That was very funny. Good work from Joey on that one. My mum's not vegan, but she's making me and my vegan brother vegan lasagna. Nice. Tell your mum she's a good one for that. But she needs to go vegan. All right, come on, mum. How can your kids be doing this, but you're not? You're supposed to lead them, lead by example. Come on now, switch that up. Come on, mum. Pan-fried Brussels sprouts and stir-fry. All right. Oh, well, that sounds interesting. All right, cool. I've got a couple videos to check out. Let's, all right then. Let's do this. There was a video recently by Michael Knowles. the right-wing commentator, and he commented saying, "Vegans are wrong. TikTok's gone wild with Michael Knowles." Now, I haven't seen it. I was going to do a response video to it, and then I just thought, do you know what? Oh, fuck this guy. You know, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to deal with this guy. He's just infuriating. But I thought maybe we could respond to it today. The other option I've got is Nimai Delgado did a video called "The Truth About Being Vegan." And I thought that seemed interesting. He's a vegan, right? So we could do one, we could do both. I don't know. What are you guys feeling? Do you want me to have a look at the Michael Knowles video? Is it worth watching? Would you guys like to see me react to that? Or would you rather be like, no, this guy is just, no, let's not do that. If you're in for the Michael Knowles video, tell me in the comments right now and we'll load it up. But we have one vote for no already. Some people might be sick of this guy. What's it going to be, guys? Are we going in for Knowles or not? Let's see it. We have 2 yeses. Oof. I think there's a bit of a, by the way, FYI for everybody, there is a bit of a more of a delay than usual between what I say and when you guys hear it. FYI. So if it ever looks like I'm moving quick with the chat and then you guys are not in sync or whatever, just be aware that's why. I don't know why that is, but I guess we're going to have to go for it, aren't we? All right, let's see what this numpty's saying. So this video is vegans are wrong. TikTok's gone wild with Michael Knowles. Let's have a look.
Oh, what the f***?
Garlic and mayo.
Okay, come on.
Few things make me happier than chomping down on some dead, juicy, delicious animals. And this, unfortunately, creates a conflict between me and the vegan activists. So my producers have gathered together the strongest arguments made by the vegans on...
Why does this editor seem like he is like some kind of TikTok editor? He's going so hard on these crazy shit for this video.
TikTok, and we will see if those arguments persuade me to give up my beloved meat. For now, vegans, take it away.
It's vegan because it's strawberry milk and not like cow milk. You know what I mean?
So please tell me how you milk a strawberry.
The same way that you milk an almond and the same way that you milk an oat.
Could you milk me?
You probably need like little tiny baby fingers to go get the little cute udders on the oats, and you just squeeze them and then you get the milk out of it. Yes! That's an obvious one. Next one.
Oh my God. Is that like, is this like, is it supposed to be funny? Oh my God, man. I've got next level secondhand embarrassment from watching whatever that was just now. What's with the editing? The guy's like 40. Why have they edited his video like he's like 15 years old? Like, is he actually, I mean, how old is this guy? Hold up. Find out how old this guy really is. He's like oh my God, he's 33? We're the same age. Are you kidding me? No way. I thought he was well older than that. That's mad. Wait a minute. This guy's 33. Is it just me? Am I being like, is it just me or does he look older than 33? No? Or is it just me having my, having this wrong? But anyway, either way, he's a 33-year-old conservative commentator and they've edited his video like he's a 15-year-old TikToker. And it's really funny because it's just like memes and shit. It's horrible.
You just squeeze them and then you get the milk.
I go to Taco Bell.
Oh my God, this video is so old.
What do you get at Taco Bell?
I get a Crunchwrap, but swap out the beef and get some beans in there. Also swap out the sour cream and the cheese. And yeah.
Don't they use eggs in their wraps?
I hope they don't.
Yeah, I hope they don't either because then that wouldn't be vegan.
Freeze! Vegan police! You're under arrest for veganity violation.
I don't know why she was coming at me.
I have seen vegan YouTubers who go to Taco Bell and can make it vegan just to show people that it can be convenient.
I don't know why you guys are. trying to tell me about like, whoa.
I eat honey, but
Honey isn't vegan.
Did you learn that at Vegan Academy?
I can't tell if she's extremely pro-vegan or if she's actually trying to convince people not to be vegan at all. Because this isn't just a phenomenon that happens with vegans. This is true of any group. You will always have people who are more orthodox in that group than others, who are more rigorous and more disciplined than others. And so when people are more rigorous and orthodox and disciplined, it's good for them to have a spirit of charity and patience and try to bring others along.
Yeah, I think the thing is with that video that he's trying to like take apart, it was some of them weren't vegan, they were pretending to be vegan, and the whole goal of it was to find out who was a real vegan and who wasn't a real vegan. So it's like, it's weird to kind of, they were all, or some of them were like faking and acting and stuff. So I don't know, to take that apart, it's like, it wasn't like a real conversation, you know?
But very often what happens is you'll have the people just become like uber cool, super purity monsters who will just insist that if you in any way deviate from what they are doing, that you're just a complete degenerate refuse trash. And that's what she's doing there.
Yeah, I actually, that's interesting that he actually has a good point. That is something that some purist people do. Like there are people within veganism, within animal rights that act like that. And I agree with what he said. Is that if you are somebody who believes you know something that is not vegan or that we should consider, he's right. The best thing you can do is to talk to these other people with like some empathy, understanding, and try to show them that, oh, listen, that thing that you thought was good, it's not actually good. The same way you talk to a meat eater, right? I actually agree with him on that. It's a good point. But the video that he's making those comments on is a video that's like fake. You know what I mean? So it's a good point, but it doesn't make sense for the video that he's commenting on. And I don't know what's going on right now.
You looked at a glass of milk once. Yeah, that's not vegan.
So I understand he's making stupid shit jokes, but he has a good point that we could definitely be a little bit nicer to each other, to try and convince each other to you know, make better decisions, the same way we would do to a meat eater.
So it's a battle between an extraordinarily unreasonable person and an only semi-unreasonable person. That would be the kind of moderate vegan.
Yeah, that's now he's just lost it. Yeah, there's nothing unreasonable about being vegan. I'm gonna guess he's gonna make absolutely no actual solid, well-formed opinions about veganism. He's gonna have none of those here, and he'll have no debunks or actual direct responses to any of the reasons to go vegan, I'm gonna assume.
But I really like her because the effect of her snarkiness and arguments is to show people that they're probably not vegan and veganism might well be impossible and there's really no reason to be vegan anyway. I haven't really heard a good argument to be vegan at all. Just all these ways in which people fall short. Okay, next one.
He's such a dishonest asshole. Of course he's heard solid arguments to go vegan. There's a big difference between not hearing any good arguments and not listening to any good arguments, right? He is doing the same tactic as Piers Morgan. He will just deflect any good arguments that he hears because they don't fit what he wants. So he'll say, oh, I've never heard anything good. Well, no, you probably just didn't listen to them, mate. You just ignored them.
So you actually believe that you aren't an animal?
Of course not. So what are you? I'm a human being. I'm a Homo sapien.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous.
I'm sorry, but you don't believe that humans are animals. That is insane.
Ask God if he made you an animal. Ask God. Try that.
I'm sorry, where is this God? And by the way, if God and the devil were in a room with a baby lamb, who would slit the baby lamb's throat?
I assume the devil. Right, or the lamb would lay down his life for his friends as a sacrifice to the Father and then be resurrected on the third day.
Yeah,
but she made the error from the beginning. And I guess the guy was not totally precise in his language either.
Don't be ridiculous.
Which is, yes, we're animals. We're just a different kind of animal. Human beings are animals, but we're rational animals. We have
fuck are these clips?
Rational soul. We have will and intellect. We can conceive of things in the abstract, and we can turn our will toward those things. rationally. We don't just follow our appetitive will. We don't just follow our base will. We don't just follow our desires for food or whatever, but we also follow our higher will and our concept of justice. The beasts can't have a concept of justice. Right now, go to Grillblazer.
Hold up. So, yeah, he's right. All the stuff he said is right. Yeah, we have the ability to do all those things, and other animals don't have the ability to do all those things, right? But obviously, what he's drawing from that is that means then, because we are, in his eyes, more important, right, somebody believes they're more important because of those things, that they can kill other animals that don't have those things. And then all we have to do from there is ask, okay, so if a human's born without those things, you can kill them for meat, right? And he'd say, no, of course not. Okay, then. So, like, why not exactly? Because they're human, all right? So if someone's born, they have all the attributes of a human, they do everything a human does, but they have a different DNA that makes them not human, okay? Then can we kill them? Well, no. Well, why not? Well, because they have the ability like we do for all the thought. Okay, fine. So if someone's born with different DNA, but they present themselves as human, they look human in every way, but they just don't have that ability to have the rational thought, the things you just mentioned, and also their DNA is different to ours, so they're technically not human, then can we kill them for meat? Well, no. Or why not? Don't know. Okay, so what you're saying is it's just bullshit. It's a bullshit excuse. You know, this is where this conversation would go, basically, with this. It would most likely end up with someone like him, with him ending up appealing to something like using God and using religion to justify, because he knows that he can't prove that God exists, right? And he can't prove that the Bible is actually something to be followed and all that kind of stuff. Therefore, you can't also disprove it. You can't disprove something that can't be proven, if that makes sense. This is what would end up happening. We'd end up having some spiritual discussion where it would have to come to some kind of impasse where it's like, oh, we'll have to disagree because you're not a spiritual person. You don't understand. This is what the Christians do. It's what the Hindus do. It's also what I've heard some Muslims do. Basically, it's like, you're not one of me. Therefore, you'll never understand what I'm talking about. So we'll just have to leave it there. It's like, yeah. Because you know you're illogical. That's the only thing you'd have left. So that's my prediction of how that conversation with him would go. Let's just skip his ad. Okay, we're like here.
% off your order. Grillblazer.com/
believe Jesus was the perfect man without sin.
%
Was a
Where are we up to?
Grillblazer.com % off.
Man without sin and was
God,
God. If you're a Christian, undoubtedly you answered yes.
White people have a certain smell to them. Every race and culture has peculiarities of sense.
From my New King James.
What the fuck was going on just now? My God, what is going on with this editor? I can't even believe it.
James version of the Bible. Genesis chapter 1 verse 29. And God said, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be food. So God's perfect man.
A disproportionate number of my friends are very, very gay.
Which he created. And the suffering, death, and eating flesh only came in after sin. So you believe Jesus is the perfect man and is also sinless, but if you believe he ate meat and fish, do you also believe that he isn't perfect and isn't sinless? Would God, the creator of all and the lover of all he created, then consume of the suffering, pain, and death of the very things that he created? The answer is no. Why are we talking about this, and why is it important?
I think we need to pass a law banning people reading 2 lines out of the Bible out of context, and that's it.
2 Corinthians, right? 2 Corinthians.
If this guy had read more than a line or 2 out of the Bible, he would have found answers to his questions.
Was Jesus a vegetarian?
First of all, if you begin with Jesus was, you're probably on the wrong track, because Jesus, if you follow the story until the end, you find out Jesus is resurrected. He lives, our Redeemer lives.
I can't take anyone seriously who believes that, like, some dude died and then came back to life and is just, you know, and to, like, I'm sorry, I find it so hilarious. Like, you're going to sit there and try and make some rational, like, look like some kind of rational person sitting in a suit, making comments about how, what was it said earlier? Vegans are ridiculous and irrational. And it's like, bro, you believed like there's some zombie guy mooching about who is like the Lord and Savior of the population of Earth, and you think that we're unreasonable or ridiculous for suggesting that we don't stab animals in the throat? I mean, how really? I mean, come on. I'm not trying to offend anyone here. If you're a Christian, then whatever, you do you. But I mean, you can't possibly. You got those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Like I said earlier, you can't go around calling people's beliefs stupid or ridiculous if you believe that, right? Because you're putting a lot of faith in something, like a lot of faith in something that is, by all means, by like all physics and everything we know about how the world works, is impossible, right? You're putting faith in that. So fine, you do you. But then don't try and say vegans are stupid or silly or ridiculous when we literally look at what's happening. We see what happens to animals. There is literally hard evidence and data and everything, right? Physically, you can go and see a slaughterhouse and see inside, and we say we're going to stop that because that's not okay, right? You can't say that's ridiculous while believing that other shit. Come on.
Foretold in the Old Testament. One of the first things that our Lord does when he's resurrected is grill fish on the beach for his friends. It's right there. You don't need to wonder. You don't need to try to abstract. We know Jesus grills fish for his friends. So there's your answer.
The world's a much safer place if we eat the animals that could eat us.
The other way you know that this guy doesn't have a great grasp on what he's talking about is, one, his entire comportment and mode of speech, but two, at the end of the
video. What's the better way to show us you know what you're talking about? Is it by having like random clips interspersed in your video of like memes and you saying random shit? Is that how we know what you're talking about? Because at least the guy in the TikTok actually just made his points and moved on, like serious points, and explained them coherently, and you actually interrupted the guy. So I mean, yeah, again, this guy is projecting like crazy here, isn't he?
And when you think about other spiritual masters,
you think, okay, here we go. Now he's gonna tell me about Buddha or something like that. After having read like 3 words of the Bible, not apparently recognizing where Christ literally comes into the scriptures, because he says,
you see this in Genesis and in most of the Torah, and why doesn't Jesus
do this? Well, Jesus is present, obviously, from the beginning of the inspired word. He is the divine logic of the universe, but he literally comes into the story in the New Testament, so it's a little bit after the Torah, and he answers the question and makes a lovely meal of fish, and we can have that too. Noah eats a delicious meal of meat, and I like that as well. Okay, next one.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't that amazing that the people who wrote the stories about Jesus and wrote stories about these potentially fictional or non-fictional people, they were the people living at that time. Isn't it weird that they wrote about them doing the things they would do, like eating animals? And that's what ended up being in the book. Isn't it? It's strange, isn't it? It's almost, yeah, wow. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder, no, come on. Nobody would input their own opinions into a book like that. You know, they wouldn't insert what they think happened and based on what they wanted to happen. And, you know, because we all know that history and any texts, old scriptures and old texts, can be completely 100% trusted to be totally, completely logical and free from any personal, you know, wants or desires is seeping into the book. You know, when we look at history books, for example, from like different wars and conflicts and stuff like that, yeah, the winners of those conflicts wrote the things, but we can trust that they're totally impartial and give us all the data, and they don't do things based on their opinions and how they feel. It's all about facts and logic, and it's just very neutral, isn't it? We all know that's how the world works, right?
Hates animals. Human rights are animal rights because humans are animals. If you fight for human rights and you don't fight for animal rights, you're being a speciesist. And that
I think that's not a good argument at all. I totally disagree with it. If you fight for human rights and not animal rights, it's not you're not a speciesist at all. I think if you fight for human rights and you were vegan and you just want to focus on human rights or causes, but you're not harming animals, all power to you. I would rather you be helping us. I would rather you fight for animals. I think animals need more help and deserve more help because they have far less money, they have far less help, they have far less activists. So I'd love for you to come and help. But if you don't want to, for whatever reason, and you're more drawn to helping people, just don't abuse animals, just be vegan, right? And flipping it around as well. If you're an animal rights activist and you focus on animals, you know, all you need to do to be consistent, I would say, and not be a piece of shit, don't abuse humans. You don't need to be a human rights activist too, just don't abuse humans then. I have no problem. And if you want to do both, that's awesome. These people want to do both, that's fine. But to try and act like you have to doesn't make any sense. Minimum requirement for anyone in this world is to live it without abusing others. That's like the baseline. That's where you start. Just do your best to not harm anybody else. Do your best to not, you know, cause violence to anybody else. Anything you do on top of that's a bonus. And absolutely, we want vegans to fight for animal rights. And absolutely, we want some people to also go out and vegans also to fight for human rights as well. You know, it's not like we don't want that to happen. But yeah, it's not something it's not something you should feel you have to, otherwise you're some kind of hypocrite, blah, blah, blah. Now, these guys are working with Direct Action Everywhere. And the reason that she wouldn't say human rights people should be vegan is because they don't believe in veganism. They actually don't believe that people need to be vegan to go out there and protest with them. Direct Action Everywhere actually is like almost anti-vegan a little bit. It's kind of weird. So I say anti-vegan as in they're anti the concept of veganism. They don't believe they don't use the word. They don't believe in the whole idea of it anymore. So that's why these people are focusing on what they're saying here rather than saying if you care about humans but you abuse animals, that's hypocritical. You should at least be vegan. She wouldn't say that, unfortunately. At least I'm assuming that's what's going on there.
That's just back to the matter.
Very cool. Speciesist. That makes sense.
He's the first president in like 145 years to not have a dog companion. I mean, I'm not saying that people that don't like dogs are bad people, but I'm just saying.
Only the dog lovers would understand that.
Caring towards animals is a good trait to have in a human.
Agreed.
You know?
He's got a lot on his plate, having a dog, and that's a lot. I mean,
we're trying to fight against, and that's the kind of animal abuse that he thinks should be private information because those individuals deserve their privacy.
Who did you vote for?
I didn't vote.
Fleckus, one of the all-time great interviewers out there. She makes one point that's true, which is that we shouldn't be cruel to animals.
What are you doing?
That's bad when we're cruel to animals. But the reason it's bad when we're cruel to animals is not because animals have any rights. If you're for human rights, but you're not for animal rights, you're a speciesist. What is a speciesist? I guess a speciesist is someone who draws distinctions between different species.
No, it's discrimination based on species. So for those that don't know in the chat, like if you are discriminating people based on their ethnicity, then that's, I'm not going to say, whenever I say the word, YouTube like demonetizes the video and I have to wait days. So yeah, that's the R word. If you're discriminating based on sex, then that's the other word. If you're discriminating based on, what else is there? Like where people live, that's like xenophobic or whatever. Which doesn't make sense because that means like fear. But yeah, it's discrimination based on where someone lives or where they're from or something. Then there's others as well. And yeah, speciesism is discrimination based on the species. So it can be between humans and other animals. It can be between like a dog and a cat. Like, for example, if somebody is like, oh, I want to eat pigs, but I would never eat a dog, that's usually just down to the fact that, oh, because they're a different species. That's all it boils down to. They don't actually have any other reason than that. So then that's just like, well, yeah, it's just speciesist. That's what it is. People often mock that word. They laugh at it. And the reason they laugh at it is because they think it's made up. Well, all words are made up, but they think that vegans made it up as some kind of gotcha. But it's been around for a very long time, like 50 years or some shit like that. So it's not like a new thing. And it was Peter Singer who at least made it popular. And, you know, it's like a full-on like philosophy fucking expert, bro. You know, like, it's like one of the like most well-respected philosophers ever. So it's not coming from like, oh, just the vegans. He's not even a vegan, Peter Singer. So people need to realize that. But I would say, guys, I would definitely recommend to you that things like speciesism, I wouldn't really recommend getting into that with Joe Public, like your average member of the public, because I feel like you're talking over people's heads a little bit if you get deep into this kind of hardcore philosophy stuff. I think it's if you are somebody who talks to people in general life, you're going to give them the impression that you're some kind of uppity, oh, I'm so much better, I'm going to talk to you about some things, high level shit. You're best just talking to people where they're at. So if find out what kind of person they are, like mirror how they talk. If they're like more kind of street and they're from like, I don't know, more of like like for me, for example, I'm from like a council estate. That's where I grew up. So that's like welfare estate, basically. So I know how those kind of people talk. I know how they, engage with each other, and I can flip into that mode if I need to, because it's where I'm from. Or if somebody's a little, someone's more like I got some university student or something from like some middle class family. Okay, then, and they speak in a certain way. Okay, I'll try and like match them where they're at. Or if somebody is some philosophy student, then it's like, well, I mean, probably going to struggle to, if they want to use lots of like complex language and you're not into that, well, but you can talk at a higher level with somebody like that because that's what they're interested in and it's what's going to appeal to them. Basically, you've got to absolutely, if you want to succeed with people, you've got to try and mirror their energy, mirror their language a little bit, and not just go in with one mode every time. Like, oh, I'm going to go in there and talk about speciesism and rights violations and exploitations. And like, these are all probably, for some people, these are all going to be new concepts that you don't want to just blast somebody with new shit. Best thing you can do, if they're not into it, if they don't understand it, or it's new to them, you want to try and go in, okay, figure out where they're at, what kind of stuff do they, are they into, what do they know, and then talk to them. Simplify it if it needs to be simplified, or complicated if it needs to be complicated. You got to figure that shit out. It's really important, I'd say, guys. I think that's like right now, I would say it's like one of the most important things for all activists who are going out, or anyone who talks about veganism, to get this in your head, because I've seen tons of vegans online recently who I feel like have flipped into full-on philosopher mode, and it's all high-level shit. No matter who they're talking to, it's the same high-level shit. And I'm just worried that you guys might be influenced by that. And so, yeah, I'm going to do a video about it at some point. I'm going to try and get these thoughts out there. But, yeah, please try not to do that. If you want to see a great example of somebody who can mirror and, judge and figure things out, go and check out Cliff. I think Cliff's probably the best example of how to communicate with people, meet them at their level. Cliff Grant, he's in the chat. And if you could pop his link in the chat, that'd be great. I think he's like great at that. So calm. And if that's not you, if you're not calm like Cliff, if you're not that, the same vibe as Cliff, that's fine. Be yourself. But just remember, you got to match the other person. Otherwise, you talk over them, or you'll just, fail to connect with them. And we need to be connecting with people. You're not going to win people over with hard logic like 99% of the time. You're going to win them over with reaching them and having, a heart-to-heart conversation and unless they are some hardcore logic philosopher type, and then it'll be a little bit different. You got to figure that shit out. Really important.
Which is true. Guilty as charged. You got me. Of all the isms and the phobias I've been accused of, that one takes the cake. I am a speciesist. I don't want to be cruel to animals, but only because that would dull my humanity. Only because that would turn me into a psycho, and in a way, probably create in me or stoke in me an appetite for suffering. A delight in. That's what like little kids who torture animals, they turn into serial killers. So that's why you do it. But it's not because the animal has a rational soul or any rights or anything like that. Just because of you. Okay, keep going.
See, that's really interesting. I don't really give a shit if he's against animal cruelty because he believes in like it would, destroy his soul, or if he believes that they don't have, because they have rights. If he doesn't believe they have rights, I couldn't care less actually why he does that. But it's important that the thing he points out here is really, really important. He says that it would turn him into some kind of psycho. It would give him an appetite for like suffering and for harming in general, like little kids that torture animals. So therefore, that's why he's not cruel to animals, right? That is a complete admission that people shouldn't be doing this to animals. But he pays people to do this to animals. He pays people in slaughterhouses to shoot animals, electrocute animals, gas animals, and then stab them in the throat, acknowledging that this will create people who will be damaged, right? People who will possibly get a kick out of tormenting living beings. And in his eyes, it may turn on humanity, right? And it often does. These people who do this jobs, there's a high prevalence of antisocial behavior, domestic violence. So it does work that way. So if that is truly what he believes, he should be a vegan for that reason then. Like I said, if he doesn't believe animals have rights, but he believes that the violence will cause people to become more violent, fine. Don't fuck it. I don't care why you do it. Just fucking do it then. Clearly, he doesn't want to harm animals. Clearly, he has some empathy for animals, but he's not admitting that here because he's being a pussy, basically. He doesn't want to show people that he's got a good-natured side towards animals, so he turns it into a human thing. Whatever, I don't care. By his own admission, he should be a vegan to stop putting those kinds of people into the world that have to do these jobs because he keeps paying them, and these people keep hiring them. These people who are most likely desperate for a job, for money, to do the worst job on earth, stabbing animals in the throat 9 hours a day. Right? So if it's people he cares about, he should be a vegan then. And it's not just people he cares about. He does care about animals. He's not like some cold-hearted, he's not a psychopath, right? And so I genuinely do believe he cares about animals. But for the sake of this video, he's not showing that. But yeah, it's a really interesting point that he made there. And a shame that he's not made the connection between that, okay, if I believe that, I should be vegan then.
Animal as a rational soul or any rights or anything like that. Just because of you. Okay, keep going.
All right, we're at a pig vigil right now outside of a slaughterhouse that slaughters 10,000 pigs per day. We're bearing witness to the pigs going in, stopping the trucks, giving them water, giving them love, and then these people show up. They think it's hilarious to come and set up a barbecue right in front of us. They just came across the road as we were bearing witness to the truck and brought over a hot dog and offered it to us. If you recognize them, give them hell.
Oh, that's great. There was some years ago at Yale, the graduate students went on a hunger strike. Yale graduate students are some of the highest paid graduate students anywhere in the world, and they went on a hunger strike because while they were allowed to unionize, they, I think, weren't allowed to unionize by department or something like that. So these guys go on a hunger strike, and the Yale College Republicans decided to hold a barbecue right next to them. And this is giving me serious vibes of that.
See, now, there's a big difference between those two. I find that hilarious because the other example he gave, excuse me, oh, that came out of nowhere. The example of these students, these graduate students he gave, okay, so they are super elite, rich people who are doing some hunger strike over something that's just pathetic, right? And so trolling them, it's funny because it's like, guys, you really shouldn't be doing this. Like, it's silly and it's kind of funny. It's a joke to troll them because there's no lives on the line. It's not life or death. They just don't want to. They're not getting what they want. Right? So troll them. Fine. No one's getting hurt by this trolling. It's funny. But to compare that to what these activists were doing, these activists they're not all like rich. They're not all super privileged people. They're average people who've come out because they care about animals. And they're trying to give pigs water, pigs that have usually not had water in a long time. And it's usually, they've been in that truck for a while. They're stressed. And these activists are coming along and all they're trying to do is give them some water, try and calm them down and just give them something pleasant before they go into that slaughterhouse. Why would you troll them? I mean, what does that say about you if you're trolling those people? I mean, I don't know, man. It says a lot about you. It says that you're a pretty sick person. You're quite sick in the head. He was saying earlier, Michael Knowles was saying earlier how he wouldn't want to be cruel to animals because it would form feelings of like, you become a psychopath. He feels like he would become violent. And why would you support this then? This is laughing in the face of people who are trying to help animals that are suffering. Is that not on the road to psychopathy as well? I mean, I'd say, yeah. I'd say that's definitely on the road. It's definitely ignorant, right? And really mean, just really incredibly mean for no reason whatsoever, to pick on people who are already in a very emotional state, dealing with life or death for animals that they care about, and you want to come and troll them? What, do you want to go to the vets next and troll people who are taking their animals in and old animals in to be put down, losing their loved animals? Is that funny as well, to troll those people too? I don't get the joke, right? No one would do that. People taking their old dogs to be put down at the vet, nobody would troll those people, would they? Because they'd understand, well, this is a horrible situation nobody wants to be in. They care about this animal has to die. Okay, but you're trolling the people that are doing the exact same thing for the pigs going into the slaughterhouse then. What's the difference? Oh, because these people are vegan though. Right, well, them being vegan doesn't automatically mean you can just troll them. Like, there's still real people who have real feelings and care about these animals. And yeah, them trolling the vegans is not going to hurt the animals, but like, if you have any empathy for humans, why would you do that? In that moment, like, yeah, troll vegans in other scenarios, fine, whatever. Make fun of vegans. It's unavoidable, right? We put ourselves out there, you troll us, fine. But that moment, you want to troll us in that moment when we're, trying to give these animals some kind of the first compassion they've probably ever had. You want to troll us then? It just feels it's unnecessarily mean, for one, and definitely some sign of somebody who's got no empathy at all for their fellow humans, and never mind animals, It's really nasty.
Kind of a demonstration, a really good demonstration. That's great, gosh. The idea of 10,000 pigs just being slaughtered and turned into bacon every day.
Bacon is good for me.
Salivating just thinking about it. Is that it? That's all of them?
That's so weird. Just 20, 30 seconds ago, he was talking about not wanting to become a psychopath, and that's why he's not cruel to animals. And here he is saying he's salivating at the idea of pigs being gassed and having their throats slit. He finds that idea makes him salivate, makes him hungry. Screaming pigs being gassed in a gas chamber, and then having their throat slit. I mean, not doing a very good job of not coming across as a psychopath, really.
What's my favorite one? I think my favorite one, yet again, is the last video. Very often it's the last video. I think not just because it's fresh in my mind, but sometimes those are the really punchy ones. And that was just absolutely delightful and hilarious, and so charitable of those young men to offer the poor, sweaty climate activists a tasty hot dog.
They weren't climate activists. So this is part of, this guy has a massive issue with the climate activists, and they always assume that vegans are climate activists. Those people were animal rights activists. They were out there to give water to those pigs and show them some empathy and compassion. But you see how he slipped at the end there. Oh yeah, you should offer some food to these climate activists, mate. He showed his true colors with that one. He's just a spiteful, hateful little goon, isn't he?
Michael Knowles. This is the Michael Knowles Show.
This is better. The commissary will continue to serve horrifying, artery-clogging hamburgers.
Cool. Great. Yeah. It was, I wouldn't say it was, I don't know, it's kind of weird, that video, because it started off bad, and then he had a few moments where I was like, yeah, okay, made some points that I couldn't agree with, and then it just bombed in the end. Like, just completely nasty, horrible, spiteful, unnecessarily mean comments. But it's not surprising from these guys. I've noticed these Daily Wire guys, they've kind of turned more and more mean recently. Like, they've started just going for like really horrible comments, not just at vegans, but at anybody they disagree with, at any kind of thing that they've deemed to be against them or that they are against. They've started, I remember I saw a couple of these guys in different videos, Michael Knowles, there's Ben Shapiro, there's that other guy. There's a couple of others. I think Jordan Peterson's with them now as well, isn't he? Matt Walsh. I got seen content from these guys, and I was like, okay, like some of the stuff they're saying is like not as bad as people are saying they're bad, and like, okay, some of it makes some kind of sense. There's some logic here. Maybe I'll look into that or whatever. And then, the more I've seen from them, the more I've been like, wow, no, either they were like this all along, or it's suddenly just got worse. Because now, like, I've seen some horrible shit from these people. Like Jordan Peterson's just nasty. The stuff he's saying about not just vegans, he says some horrible shit about vegans. He's making some stupid vegan jokes. The stuff he says about like people, like fat people, like plus size models and shit like that. The stuff he says about basically any topic that he's got an issue with, he's just turned nasty. This Matt Walsh is the same thing. He's just posting like straight up like detailed insults at people. And now this guy as well saying horrible shit about animals. It's like they probably were always like this. And the more reasonable stuff was maybe the hook. Like, oh, look, I'm reasonable. I'm making some good points. You're like, oh, yeah. Why is everyone hating these guys? This is not so bad. And then once you're in, they're like, oh, by the way, here's some horrible shit. And you're like, a lot of people would be already sold in at that point. Like, well, okay, they're still great though. Whereas like, I think a lot of reasonable people, myself included, I'm like, whoa, can't believe I ever thought you were like a reasonable person. Like, you're actually just like, you're a piece of shit. You're saying stuff that's horrible. Stuff that you really, you know, with a big audience like this, you really shouldn't say these things, man. I mean, but then again, maybe you should, because everyone knows then that you're a piece of shit, you know? You're making it, you're saying the quiet stuff out loud, right? So then everybody can see that you're a total douche. And that's helpful for people like me who are like, well, people seem to hate them, but I'm not sure. I'm convinced that he's, you know, the complete, oh, no, yeah. Thank you for confirming the reason people hate you. You're a complete fucking douchebag. Appreciate it. Yeah. But also, you know, we got to consider that, you know, with these people, there's always room for these people to change. I'm going to do a video about why they don't. Because I do believe everybody can change, right? Even the people like this guy. Like, I don't think, when I give that label, like, oh, total douchebag, I'm not saying that as in, like, forever. Like, you're not a douchebag forever. You don't stay like that. People can change, right? Right now, this video, this guy's being a douche, right? And in other comments by those other people, they've been a douche, but they're not always a douche. Sometimes they can be reasonable. Like, I've seen this Michael Knowles guy sit and debate people and actually be reasonable and not make fun and not be sarcastic and actually be very kind. I've seen him be very nice to people. And the same with Piers Morgan. I've seen him be very nice to people as well. Even people he totally disagrees with. It can happen. So the question is, you know, how do you bring that more out when all their fans and followers want them to keep being mean and horrible, but actually they're capable of being very reasonable and kind, right? How do you bring that out? That's the golden ticket question right there. You know, I guess we need to kind of create a community. We need to create a world, an online world where that's rewarded, but it's not rewarded. What's rewarded is kicking off and saying horrible shit. You know, what needs to be rewarded is people actually being open-minded and kind to each other, but that's not, no one wants to see that, man. It's boring, isn't it? It's not spicy enough. But I have a video planned, actually, about Piers Morgan. Well, it's not only going to be about Piers Morgan. Maybe it'll be about Michael Knowles as well and Ben Shapiro. But the title will be something like, The Real Reason Piers Morgan Isn't Vegan. And I'm going to open up and elaborate on why these famous people who have shown they can be reasonable aren't reasonable on this topic, and, you know, what we can do about it, basically. That's my idea for this video. I'm just getting into it now, writing it, scripting it out. So keep an eye out for that. So, all right, next video I've got to have a little look at is this Nehemiah Delgado video. Let me have a quick glance at the comments, though, you guys in the live chat before we get on to the next. You guys enjoying the stream? Tell me if you're enjoying the stream. Hey, do you know what a great way is to tell me if you're enjoying the stream? Is if you use the super chat or the Streamlabs tip link. If you do one of those and send through a nice little, you know, couple euros, I'll know for sure you're enjoying the stream. Now, please do consider it, though, guys. It really means a lot. It helps me out a lot. Thank you for everybody who's already done that. And thanks to everybody who's already in the Patreon team and the YouTube memberships team. Legends. Oh, I've just seen Mark just private messaged me in Patreon, which is a bonus you get when you join the Patreon team with his mayo and baconaise recipes, which is very exciting. To make our own mayo and make our own bacon mayo. Vegan, obviously. Cheers for that, Mark. Appreciate it. Maybe maybe if you're interested, I'll post that as a Patreon exclusive. So if you want to get the recipes, then you're gonna have to join the Patreon or the YouTube members team. Otherwise, I'm hiding it behind a paywall, guys. Paywall recipe. Funny. Yeah. All right. Let's check out this Nimai one then. I hope this Nimai one will be a positive one. We've had a lot of nonsense today. Let's see. I saw it. Do you guys know who this guy is? Nimai Delgado is a vegan bodybuilder. So 104,000 subs. But he did this video, The Truth About Being Vegan, and it piqued my interest. So I thought, let's have a look at it.
Vegans are often stereotyped as weak, skinny hippies who love to shove their views down other people's throats. To be fair, I am a bit of a hippie, and as somebody who's never eaten meat and vegan for the last 8 years, I can say that the skinny part isn't true, at least not for me.
Loud.
Many people have conflicting opinions about whether or not a vegan diet is actually healthy, or is the lack of quality protein and nutrients found in animal products actually detrimental to your health. So many people think you need to eat meat in order to survive, but as somebody who's never eaten meat before in their life, one thing I know for sure is that I'm still alive. Wait, am I alive? Is this a simulation? Anyway. And as for whether or not you can build muscle or be a successful bodybuilder, you definitely can. However, if you're somebody who is curious about trying veganism, then I think it's important to know about some of the biggest misconceptions about it.
It's cool. Seems interesting so far. Michael, cheers for the tip, mate. Yes, we're all enjoying the stream, but please remember not to have fun. That sounds eerily like somebody else in the online vegan YouTube space. I think that's what you're getting at, maybe. I'm not going to speak ill of another vegan, but I think those of you who've been around for a little while might know what that's referring to. Cheers, Michael. Appreciate it, mate.
The first of which is that there is a big difference between what people think veganism is versus what it actually is. So most people have a very limited understanding of what veganism actually is. By definition, it's the practice of not eating any animals or using their byproducts to the best of one's ability. And unfortunately, like any ism, it's the people in the group that are most extreme that end up becoming the misrepresentation of that entire group. But the truth is, you might have more in common with vegans than you might think. So vegans care about their health, their loved ones, animals, and the environment that they live in. They strive to become a better version of themselves and simultaneously help make the world a better place. So they deeply feel empathy whenever they witness oppression, suffering, and injustices.
I was worried that he was going to go for there are extreme vegans and, but I'm not one of those guys. But he kept going, which I appreciate that he kept going. Yeah.
Their empathy and compassion extends beyond humans and includes animals and the environment. And is an actionable way to try to reduce the amount of suffering and damage in the world, they simply choose not to eat animals or support industries that perpetuate the suffering, exploitation, and damage of the environment. Okay, look, I don't want to sit here and make a blanket statement that I think everybody should be vegan.
That was an interesting point, but not entirely true, though. He's tried to incorporate the environmental stuff in there as well. But, I mean, there are lots of vegans that do things that are not good for the environment, like flying and shit, right? So if by his definition of what he's saying veganism is, vegans wouldn't fly then, unless it was like a necessity. They wouldn't take holidays, wouldn't fly. So I don't think that's necessarily like the best way of explaining it. I think the best way of explaining it is always to talk about the animal ethics, that vegans are against doing that shit to animals. And fortunately, there are lots of ways that it benefits the environment, especially if you eat a diet that is specifically, you've designed to be environmentally friendly. Because you can eat you can. It's like that guy out of what's it called with Jim Carrey, and he's God, and it's Steve Carell plays the other guy, Bruce Almighty. That's it. You can eat a plant-based diet that is not environmentally friendly. It is definitely possible. So if you do care about the environment, that's like your number one priority, then you would design your diet so that it's more environmentally friendly, right? So it's important to distinguish between these two things, I think.
I think there are many people in the world that don't have the means, the accessibility, or the information. But for those of us that do have these luxuries, we also have the luxury of choice. Vegans are simply trying to bring awareness to the fact that if you have the access, the means, and the information, then you do have a choice. And every choice that we make and every dollar that we spend is a vote for the kind of world that we want to live in. Vegans simply want to choose a world that chooses compassion over violence, harmony over destruction, and peace over suffering. And if you feel like that's the kind of world that you want to live in, then you might have more in common with vegans than you think. So the next biggest concern is whether or not veganism is sustainable. And as I mentioned before, I was born and raised vegetarian. I've never eaten meat, vegan the last 8 years. And if I can do it, you can probably do it too. I am not an anomaly. There are thousands of examples of people who are thriving on a vegan diet, and even professional athletes too. And if you don't believe me, check out a movie called The Game Changers. You might even see a familiar face. Now, I could sit here and try to reference a bunch of scientific papers to prove to you that you can thrive on a vegan diet, but let's be honest, there are plenty of scientists who are much more capable of doing that than me, and I would probably only leave you feeling more confused because as soon as you open up Instagram, you're gonna see other people quoting studies that say otherwise. All right, so.
Yeah, the important thing with the studies is like, if you see some carnivore numpty posting some study, you want to firstly look at like, okay, what's the power of that study? So there's a hierarchy of evidence. You can see, okay, there are studies that talk about plant-based foods and plant-based diets, right? And there are studies and combinations of lots of studies, like meta-analyses of studies. And that's like really high up on the power scale of like a power of a study, right? The power of evidence. It's right high up there. These meta-analyses and RCTs, randomized control trials and stuff like that is high up. There are lots of other types of experiments and surveys and studies and shit like that, and they're all below that. They have less power. So I think his advice is good. Like, okay, you're probably going to get confused. Don't try not to like get into that. If it'll easily confuse you, you know, maybe if you don't know how to read these papers and stuff. I think the best advice to just give to people on that is if you see a paper, you see a study and it proves something. Well, I mean, usually the carnivores cherry-picked some kind of crap from that paper. It doesn't actually prove what they say, but even if it does, chances are it's a weak study. Chances are it's actually weak as evidence. So you can just go and yeah, well, okay, that says that, but this one is way more powerful, so you take the more powerful one over the weaker one. And that's something that Danny over at Lifting Vegan Logic has, that video he did in response to the What I've Learned guy, that was a really good masterclass in showing that pretty much every study that this What I've Learned guy picked was extremely weak as evidence in comparison to the studies that Danny was showing, right? And the evidence he was showing. And it was, you know, even though he obliterated this guy, it was embarrassing. So that's something I think most people can get their head around, that there is a hierarchy of evidence and a hierarchy of things, and you just find out where that study that you've been sent fits into that, and then you see, is it a powerful thing? Is it something we should really take seriously or not?
How do you know whether or not something is possible or not, or what to believe? Well, you're gonna have to try it for yourself. You simply don't know what you don't know until you try something. And don't just blindly believe what people say online and adopt it as truth. If you have an open mind and are willing to try something new, you might just access higher levels of mental, physical, and even spiritual well-being that you didn't know were possible because you've been so acclimated to your everyday experience. The key, like anything, is to do it properly. And I'm sure you've heard, seen, or known somebody who was vegan at one point and then stopped because they said it either wasn't feeling well or that it wasn't providing enough nutrition to facilitate their fitness goals. But I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It's not the vegan diet that didn't work. It was their vegan diet that didn't work, or their conviction. And I'll address the biggest mistakes that people make when they attempt to go vegan in my next video. But for now, let me talk about the biggest misconception of all.
It's good that he mentions that. I like that he pointed out that it's not the plant-based diet, the vegan diet, that's the problem. It's what they were eating, how they were doing it. like their own lifestyle, their choices, whatever they were eating or not eating or drinking or not eating, that's most likely what caused their issues. It's not the diet on the whole, because everything that we have, all the data that we have on the diets with the correct supplementation, the correct, you know, consumption of the correct things, and you're meeting your calorie goals, meeting all of your macro goals and nutrient goals, you'll be fine. Why wouldn't you be, right? So I like that he pointed that out.
Look, I get it. Salads suck, and I don't like eating them either. I like eating pizza, tacos, burritos, bowls, sushi, just like everybody else, except the vegan version of it. And the truth is, you don't have to only eat salads. There is so many vegan options these days.
You don't only have to eat salads, but he's like doing a slow-mo video of cauliflower. I mean, it's not exactly a big upgrade, man. Cauliflower wings
are not only nutritious, but also really tasty. In fact, I actually have a few videos explaining exactly how I eat right here. Many people struggle with the idea that they have to give up their favorite foods or even aspects of their culture when they go vegan. But as somebody who's traveled all over the world, I can honestly say that I have yet to find a place that I have struggled to be vegan. In fact, some parts of the world have even more vegan options than we do here.
Hey guys, but you know, if you're ever traveling to France though, France has nothing vegan. You got to realize that. Guys, if you're ever traveling to France, make sure you jump on WhatsApp and message Joey Carbstrong and ask him, you know, because he knows the France places, right? He knows the places in France. you gotta go and ask him. Guys, FYI, for those that aren't getting the joke, I'll bring you in on the joke. There was this cosmic skeptic, this Alex O'Connor guy, who recently became ex-vegan, and it came out via Joey Carbstrong that while he was vegan, he went to France and he was messaging Joey because he didn't know what to eat in France. Yeah. Oh, no, he's not an old man or anything. This is like a young guy, you know, access to the internet, knows how to use a phone, smartphone, you know, still can't believe that. Hilarious. So clearly, there is one place in the world where you definitely can't get vegan food, and it's France.
And you might actually be surprised to find out that there are many more vegan options around you that you were just unaware of because you weren't looking for them. You can try to use the app Happy Cow, and it will actually tell you what vegan restaurants or vegan items on menus are nearby. And
wait, you might be saying that now, 1 minute.
In regards to it being more expensive.
Right, so another tip for you guys that I learned just this year, like about 5 months ago maybe. You don't need to use, if you use Happy Cow and you're not liking what you see, maybe they're too far away from you, whatever, open Google Maps, type in the word vegan. And what it does, I'm blown away by this, it brings up vegan on any menus, and if there's vegan on any menus, and also if anyone said the word vegan in the reviews. So you will get all of that all around you in your area, and you can look and see, like you'll find some secret gems, some hidden stuff. Like somebody will leave a comment, something like, oh, this place has an entire vegan menu, but they don't have a website, right? So you'd never know that. So then you go there and like, yeah, there it is, you know, vegan menu. Or the place will say, someone will say, they have nothing vegan. Vegans don't go here. And you're like, okay, great. We know to leave that one out, right? That is a massive cheat code, I think. There's a huge tip. I wish I knew this a long time ago.
What vegan restaurants or vegan items on menus are nearby. And in regards to it being more expensive, it really just depends on the person and the kind of lifestyle that you live. If you're going out and eating at restaurants every single day and buying expensive specialty items, then of course, yeah, it's going to be expensive.
Yep. Agreed.
But if you prepare your food at home and focus on less processed foods, it can actually be way more affordable than a traditional diet. In fact, an Oxford study actually took a look at this and determined that a vegan diet was the most affordable diet next to the vegetarian diet. There are a ton of other misconceptions that I could talk about, but I don't want you to think that I'm trying to convince you to do something that you don't want to do. I'm just simply trying to bring awareness to the fact that if you want to be vegan, and if you are curious about it and it feels like something that's aligned with your morals and the way that you want to live your life, then you absolutely can thrive on a vegan diet. All you have to do is just try it for yourself, and even if you don't end up being vegan for life and just eat a little bit more plants and a little bit less animals, then that is progress. And for those that need additional support and want to take it even further, then I am a coach and I do offer support in helping people reach their health and fitness goals. All you have to do is click the application down in the description.
It was going so well. It was going so well. I was about to say that I'm really happy that people like Nehemiah are out there and saying this kind of stuff, because you've got the me right out there, the people like me. You've got the Joeys, you've got the Eds, you've got the Ellies, the vegan gays, you've got the Dannys, the vegan logic, you've got the Cliffs, right? And that's great. That's great that we're all similar in the way that we're like, you know, baseline vegan, you know, no bullshit, quite direct, defending animals, right? And it's good that you got people like Nehemiah out there, because they're doing it in a more like it's an easier way. It's a good, nice intro. Like, oh, I saw a video by Nehemiah and I started to learn. I got interested. Cool. And then they found Joey or Ed after that. And then it's solidified. But I'm so disappointed. This bit right at the end. It's just, without this bit at the end, this would have been a great video. This bit where it's, even if you decide, oh, you're not going to, you know, you don't want to do it, or you try it and you don't want to do it anymore, even just more plants. It's like, that's like it gets people off the hook. Maybe they were thinking, hey, do you know what, Nehemiah, this sounds great. I think I'm going to give this a go. But then you tell them, you don't have to do it fully. Why would you say that? There's no need to say that, because guess what? They're not going to do it fully anyway. Not from this video. This video was not convincing enough to have somebody to go vegan, right? What you've done here is you've planted the seeds of maybe someone's going to research it and stuff. That's fine. That's great. We need this. We need people like Nehemiah to be friendly and welcoming and, like, you know, showing off his muscles and being incredibly handsome. We need that, right? It's good. It's an intro. It gets people in. But you got to maintain the basic level of, this is a very important decision and you should do it. The second you start giving them a get out, like, oh, if you don't want to, you know, if you want to kind of half do it, that's when you start to become a problem, in my opinion. That's when this is not a good message anymore. That's when this video becomes a bit, like, unhelpful, in my opinion. And it's just a small tweak. It's just don't let people off the hook. You don't need to forcefully tell them what to do, but if you're not going to do that, at least don't be like, oh, and by the way, if you don't fancy it, just do it a little bit. That's just not helpful, man. And I get why he does it, because he's selling coaching and stuff, right? This is his job. This is his career. He has to appear to be, you know, doesn't want to scare people off. I get it. It's just a shame. It's just a shame, you know, because you can still have a career. You can still sell your programs and stuff without that little last bit at the end. The video was solid up until that point, and then just sell your program. And if you know, boom, 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 boom. If you wanted to go vegan, well, yeah, you know, you should totally do it. You have more in common with vegans than you know, and I've explained why. So I hope you'll do it. I think it's the right choice. And if you need some help with that, I do some health and fitness stuff. Check out my coaching. You know, I help people get to their peak physical fitness. So if that's something that's on the agenda for you, let's go. That's what was, you know, just do that. I don't, you know, that's fine, right? I think that would be a nice ending to the video. No need to be like, if you don't want to do it, just do it a little bit. Just eat a couple of vegetables. Eat some little bit more broccoli today. It's like, you've just like undermined what it means to be vegan. You've undermined the this is about animals, right? Which is sad. Oh, God, we were so close, you know. We were so close, Nehemiah. And I love Nehemiah. I'm a big fan of Nehemiah. I've followed Nehemiah for 6 years now. I found him back in 2017. He inspired me to get fit and stuff, and I was doing fitness stuff, and met him at the last vegan camp out. Really nice guy. Still a really nice guy. Still like him. Just, you know, disappointed a little bit in that ending of this video. But hey, you know, maybe he sees this. Maybe we take a clip of this. Maybe he sees it. Maybe he's like, oh, okay, I'll adapt that for the next time. That's a good point. Who knows? Who knows, right? Because remember what we said earlier, right? I agree with Michael Knowles that if we have an opinion like that, I have an opinion, I disagree with Nehemiah on this, right? Well, what's the best way for me to bring Nehemiah into my camp? I've got to be empathetic. I've got to reach out to him. I've got to be, you know, he's not done anything horrific. He's not hurt anybody. He's not hurt any animals. It's just that I think he could help more. So I've got to work on that. I've got to reach out to him. I've got to be kind, haven't I? Right? To get him over to my side. And that's really important to remember. We don't hate him for this. And Michael Knowles was right on that point. That too many of us, vegans, we jump straight to hating on another vegan because they say something we didn't like. I've been totally guilty of that before. And I've definitely seen the error of my ways on that one. I've really come through on that one. And I really see that I was very wrong for doing that in the past. It's totally unnecessary. And we've definitely got to try and be kinder to each other. Really important. Really important, guys. We've got to support each other as much as we can. Dutchy360, cheers for the tip, mate. You should interview this guy about fitness and ethics. He's my coach right now, and he's awesome. He helped me steer in the right direction in 6 months that on my own in 30 years to make the results. Would have taken 30 years. Yeah, great, man. That's really cool that he's... so you're doing personal coaching with him. Send him over to this stream. Send him the timestamp to this and say, hey, by the way, this section at the end, maybe take a look at that. Because I think we've been pretty kind. I think I'd like him to see that, Dutchy. So if you could do that, if you agree anyway, fly him over. I reached out to him like a couple years ago, but he's too busy, man. I don't know. Like I've tried getting him on for an interview or something, but I think he gets a lot of invitations. Like I've seen him do interviews with like Earth and Ed. I've seen him on some other like fitness podcasts. I'm not entirely sure he wants to do like smaller podcasts because my podcast channel, I was inviting him, but I don't know. We'll see. I'd like to get him on. I mean, I'll try again some other time, be more persistent because, he probably gets like, I don't know, a couple of hundred of these invites every week because he was in the Game Changers and stuff. I think I invited him around the time of the Game Changers. So maybe it was a bad time because I bet he was just getting like hammered at that point. We'll see. I'll try and get him on. Cheers again for the tip and the advice to bring him on. It'd be nice to get him on for an interview on the channel. All right, sweet. Challenge him to an arm wrestle. Hey, look, muscles don't... oh, no.
Garlic
Stop!
and mayo.
Jesus Christ, I can't make it stop. All right, that was horrible. Why did we just do that? Challenge him to an arm wrestle. Hey, look, muscles aren't the only factor in arm wrestling, right? It's the length of the arm. And I've got a very long forearm. I don't know if you can see. So I've got quite a good leverage on people. I don't have the biggest muscles, but I've got a good forearm, like... So I don't know. I could probably hold him. I'm not sure if I could take him out. We'll see. Yeah. If I had him here in person, I would challenge him to an arm wrestle, of course. Maybe if he's is he at the camp out next time? If he's at the camp out next time, I'll invite him. I'll have an arm wrestle with him. Yeah. We'll see. Guys, I think it's time for me to get off here and have some dinner. It's been a little bit of a long one, hey? I've enjoyed it, though. It's been a lot of fun. So, guys, stick around. Don't go anywhere. I mean, not stick around right now. Stick around on the channel. Turn notifications on. Do that fun stuff. Don't go anywhere. We've got some cool stuff coming up. Got some cool videos in the mix. So, definitely stick around for that. Remember, join the Patreon team, and we can chat in DMs, and you can get that exclusive mayonnaise recipe, a vegan mayo recipe. I mean, that's going to be banging. Or also the YouTube memberships team, you guys will get it too. All right, guys, don't worry. So join one or the other. Guys, keep being absolute legends. You've been brilliant today. I've enjoyed it. And I'll catch you all in the next one. See you later.